So let's see if I can get this right. Okay. Got it pulled up. Now let's see. First there are two options. So you have a 50% on last time. And we're back. I know. I'm still new, but I get it all right. I know. Thank you. How you guys doing this lovely Monday? Now that we're actually all here together in one kumbaya. You guys have a good weekend? Anybody do anything especially fun this Saturday? Live it up. Let me know. Tell me. Come on. Let's hear something good. YouTube's never been live stream friendly. No, they like kind of tried. They took 2 steps and then they fell at the start line. I genuinely thought they were about to kill Twitch like 4 years ago or so, but they killed themselves instead in that market. Really annoying. But you know, that sounds like YouTube. So who had a special Saturday? We got to see some really good friends over the weekend. And that was good fun. Actually, we've been seeing a lot of our really good friends pretty regularly. As you guys know, we have not been really stable in one place for more than like 5 months at a time, 6 months at a time, maybe for the last 5 years. So this has been a lovely. Oh, there were a few periods there where we were like down for like maybe 6, 7, 8 months, but it was never with a place of our own. And it has now been just absolutely great being able to see people, occasionally have people over, meet our friends and stuff, you know? So anybody get to hang out with friends or family over the weekend? That's good times, right? We end every stream with it. Give somebody you love a hug. Give somebody a hug of love. Hey, Critical Code, thanks for the sub, dude. Thank you for the Prime. And actually, by the way, Just Game. I keep saying I'm gonna clean this, don't I? Somebody bring in the eraser marker. I should just wet the edge of something and write in cleanliness. Nonetheless, clear enough for Just Game. My man, 1945, old dog. An oldie but a goodie. Appreciate you, dude. Is the stream jumping for anybody else? Are we losing frames? I don't see it on our side. Is it me? Is it my camera? Can you tell? Hold up, little dance party. Let's put it to the test. You might think the stream is jumping because my dance moves are so hot, you know? Alright, I'm sorry. I was poking the sky. It's a classic move. Kids don't know about it. Your weekend was good? Your mom was in town. That's nice. You guys got to hang out? You took your son to the dinosaur exhibit. Oh, that's sick, dude. Hell yeah. Absolutely awesome parenting right there. He lost it. Dude, that's so cool. Congratulations. That's a good one. That'll stick with him. Just Game with the bits. Having a moment in chat. You're slightly trapped by snow. Yes, a lot of people are in some rather terrible winter conditions right now. A shout out to you guys. I will definitely brew a hot chocolate for you today. Honestly, I over the last maybe 2 or 3 months, I've really started to appreciate a lot more where I live for its weather. Not really something I considered that much when I was younger. But it is nice to not get absolutely destroyed by snow in the winter and potentially not die from heat in the summer, although it does get fairly hot here. We at least do have water in the proximity. Oh, hey, wait. Oh my God, guys, I haven't gotten to tell you. For the first time since almost I was born, my state is not in a drought. We did it! We kept enough water from going to the almonds to act like we're doing better. Probably not for long, but it has been like a solid 25 years, I kid you not. Could probably look this up, man. Let's see. California no longer in drought. Let's see, there it is. Hell yeah. See, yeah, there it is. After intense winter storms, which I saw those storms. I knew about. They were indeed intense. Can you, please? It was the 26th wettest month on record since 1895. Now the state is free of drought and abnormal dryness for the first time since 2000. Yay, kids, come on.
Wow.
Come on, kids. Let them hear it. Yeah, so that's my excitement. I don't know what even brought that up besides weather, but yay, that's gonna be especially nice for us this summer because it's gonna get hot. Just sounds like bad planning. Hey, not my boss. Would you say the month was moist? Dude, it's still moist. It's so freaking foggy. Hold on, let me see if I can show you guys real quick. It's so foggy. Ow! Look at this. Holy crap, look at this. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Let me open the window real quick for you. Look at how foggy it is outside. And let me just say, oh, that is bright. Wow. Nope, can't see anything there. My camera's not on auto exposure, so just give me 1 second. Let me just fix that. Oh my God. Okay, look at that. You guys can't really tell that much, but like, there's a school back there. It's all fog. So, yeah, it's a little moisty boy back here. We get a little bit of the moisture. I mean, we're not cold and snowy and dry and like crazy with the precipitation like you guys. That's why we celebrate when we're not in drought. It doesn't actually come from the sky. It just kind of floats in the air and then goes away. But we've got all the moisture right now. California got snow? Yeah, dude. California gets a ton of snow in the mountains. Not down in the valley. What about Star Citizen weather though? What about snow, dude? You want to see what picture I always think of when I think of Star Citizen snow? It'll probably pop up when I search for Star Citizen snow. It's like one of the first pictures we ever saw of them. Yep, there it is. First picture, one of the first pictures CIG specifically released that had snow in it. I don't think we had any idea. Or no, this wasn't even CIG released this. No. This was a member of the community. Yeah. Hasn't been active for a little while. I remember this came out right around when they were talking about snow. Yeah, this isn't a CIG picture. Thank God I didn't go forward with that thought process. Always thought I was in a basement. I've only been here for like a year. Ow! No, I am on the second floor. What's the green stuff on the ground? That's grass. It's good to touch that every once in a while. It's healthy. That Geo guy gonna know where you live just from the foggy picture. He's like, I know that fog. I know that moisture. Looks like Microtech outside of your house. Dude, see, that's rough, man. Snow is cool. I love visiting snow. But I cannot stand living around it. And I've only done that like once in my life. I mean, like I said, California gets snow. We drive like an hour and we're in snow. And we stay there. I have a couple friends who have like cabins up there, and we've stayed there over the summer when I was a kid. And oh my God, it was just like, are we gonna get to go outside tomorrow? I don't know. I can't make plans with you tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna be able to drive. Sorry. Is our street getting swept? Maybe. Is the nearby resorts need all the services, so we'll just have to walk it. It's like, it's kind of nuts. It's crazy. It's sort of like living, I guess, out here in California where it's really hard to get water. We just live in some pretty extreme places. Tell CIG it's your birthday, so they should drop another Gray's Market ship. Or Squadron. Sorry, I don't have the red phone here. I'd totally give him a ring. Attic, not basement. No, there is actually an attic above us, and I really do not know. I don't know what goes on up there. If your winters are wet and muddy, you wish they were snowy instead. That actually particularly reminds me of a very specific soccer game that I played. It was like a really late season game, but it was really important. And we were, you know, I always said we're like an hour away from the snow. It was basically if you drove to 50 minutes. So it was like right on the line of where it might snow. It was late November. It was freaking cold. It was in the morning. The grass was frosty, but everything was still melting. And I was like, I wish it had snowed and we had just canceled the game. Because instead it was just awful mud mixed with shredding ice.
Sorry, we forgot, so happy birthday. Oh, and did you know you are our favorite streamer?
Fucking man. Come to Canada? See, now, any sentence that starts with come to Canada actually usually gets a enthusiastic okay from me. Maybe not in the winter, though. I'll tell you, I'm a huge fan of Vancouver. Also like Toronto and Montreal and moose and maple and kindness and healthcare. And to be quite honest, really nice summers in Canada. Very nice. There's a lot of reasons to be in Canada. It gets really cold, which does suck. But I don't know. I think it's easier to stay warm than it is to stay cool. Faldorn. My man, Mr. Faldorn. Thank you for the sub, dude. Appreciate you. 6 months. 15 months in total. That's like a whole baby and a half, man. Wet winters suck. You've had both. You'll take the mud, Astro Monkey. Dude. I mean, I guess we all hate what we've been clobbered with, right? I don't know. Some people live in very nice places when it comes to weather. I'm trying to think. I think, like, honestly, I would say somewhere around. No, it gets pretty wet. I guess it doesn't get too wet here. No, this is about as moist as it ever is. I mean, I'm surprised by the fog. Usually it's pretty dry. I don't think there's really anywhere else I'd rather live weather-wise except for the dang heat. Oh my god, happy birthday! No. No, it's Jack Axton. Has he been streaming lately? We gotta give him a raid one of these days, a birthday raid. So no, you got like 2.5 feet of snow, but your roads are already clear. That's nice. It's a lot of salt. You can name it half of the baby, but no more. What? Dude, come on. Come on. A whole 15 months and you're not going to give me more than that? You love living in Montreal. The occasional -40 is annoying, but nothing worth moving south for. Yeah. Hey, if it's an occasional -40, like, you can deal with that. You can put up with that. When it's a stretch of weeks, that's a problem. But, like, you know, for the joys of the rest of the year, yeah. You know, while I was doing Space Tomato, while we were first starting this out, I want to say... No, it was before... Was it before we started this out? I think it was like right in the midst of starting out Space Tomato. Me and Mrs. Tomato, we were considering doing the other things that we did in life beforehand. She was in psychology. She also did a lot of writing. I was in engineering. And we both, that song was called Above the Clouds by Ambiance. We both were considering going back into those things or sticking with Space Tomato and building it out. And around that time, I was actually looking at a job in Edmonton. And the number one thing that always sticks out to me, the fact of that city when I was considering going there, because I was like very seriously considering going there, was that it was basically the northernmost metropolitan city on the continent. And I had to really think about that. It's like that we actually decided as a species that we can't build infrastructure any further north than this, and that might be a problem in terms of extremes. So we didn't end up doing that. Actually, it was a weird situation where I almost ended up getting the job in another place, read closer to here, which was going to be cool, but didn't end up happening. So we did with Space Tomato Gaming instead, and now here we are. Still ended up in the same place, but yeah, for a little bit there, we were going to end up in Canada. Mac is further north, Fort Mac. I see. Maybe it was some other kind of thing then. Maybe it was like a certain metropolitan above a certain size or something. Greetings, Dermondo. Hello, security of DR and savior of Tomatoes Thirst. Hey, thank you for the help out there, man. Hope you had fun doing the security. Andrew Johnny Ray Ferguson, 3026. Nice, dude. It's like a Terminator name. Been mild for sure this last week here in Saskatchewan. Has been frigid. Ooh, frigid. Guess you never heard of Anchorage? Is Anchorage metropolitan? Hell, I don't know. If there's one thing that's true on the internet, it's that you're always wrong. I'm sure there's another big city up there somewhere. But it does seem like Edmonton was a stopping point for some certain kinds of cities, and I did not want to push that. I wasn't trying to be the explorer type. No thanks. Alright. So today, I was going to talk about... I actually wanted to take a look at last year. It's been about a year since they really kicked off their whole playability push. I was kind of thinking we jump a little bit through this. What the hell just popped up right? What was that thumbnail? What was that? Oh, can I do that again? No? Okay. I thought we could jump through this a little bit and see what they were saying last year this time when it comes to playability, but I also want to stick to specific topics because I think there are certain things that are more important this year than others. Stability being not one. I know it's in the title, but I don't think that stability is actually that crucial this year. Well, no, that's not fair. That is not true. Stability is crucial, but it doesn't stand out as much. I think everything, everything is crucial. I get the feeling that they've got a lot of pressure because of something that, who was it? Beyond the Verse said that I hadn't really thought about. I keep thinking it was either Beyond the Verse or Space Coder. Somebody on the podcast recently had said that, and I think a lot of us keep thinking about how by the time Squadron 42 comes out, if it does come out, the game has to be good. But we keep going over this. It has to be good well before that, because by the time people start seeing trailers for Squadron, they're going to want to play Star Citizen. And I say that everything is crucial because they need to keep building this game out to the point where people actually get into Star Citizen and are like, oh, this is a game. There's crafting. We can talk to each other. There's trade and I'm not falling through my ship all the time. But then they also have to make sure it's stable. And that's why it's like, it's not quite like last year where they can just shuck the features and say it's all about stability and content. Now it's about doing both stability, content, performance, and features all at the same freaking time. Visor scanning? What about visor FPS scanning? You want to see how long ago they told us about that? Not to get distracted at the first comment. You have to go back. I would love to hear what happened to FPS scanning, because it's so weird that I mean, this is CitizenCon 2022, man. This will be 4 years ago. This October. That's almost half a decade. What happened to this feature? Like quantum boost? Okay, we've seen quantum boost. I can understand why this isn't. And I guess I can understand why FPS scanning isn't there either. It's crazy how long these features have taken. They just freaking sat here and tossed the carrots out. We've gotten this one at least. But I am looking for... Man, my connection's terrible. I have to load every single... What is this? I'm calling AT&T today, man. Our internet's so bad. Yesterday I was trying to download a new game and it would download at like 300 to 400 megabits per second for 2 minutes, and then like clockwork it would drop down to 19 or something. Could possibly have to do with whatever problems we've been having with our stream. So I'm gonna just get in contact with them and tell them to fix it. Unfortunately, I can't seek through this video, so I can't find what I'm looking for exactly. It's a little... I'm not gonna be able to find it like this, unfortunately. Weird. All the way back here. Here it is. So this was the first time we saw the FPS scanning, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It's basically just a way to identify things in the room. Super crucial to this game. This game needs this really badly. It's got a lot of interactable objects, but it's got a lot of stuff that's not interactable. Just looks kind of interactable. Being able to scan a room quickly and see stuff, that'd be cool. Power cycle your shit. Man, do you think I'm 3? I haven't power cycled? You blow in it, you turn it on and off. You do that before you even consider that you broke it yourself. SC has to be playable before Squadron 42 trailers can come out. Yeah, that can't be far away. If they know Squadron 42 in 6 months, let's say then that they lock down SC features and focus on stability for 6 months. I still think they'll lose. Because I don't think that they're going to get the features that they needed within the next 6 months, and they're going to be caught with their toes in their hands. Alan! Hey man, thank you for the super chats on YouTube. I appreciate you. You're going on the board, Alan.
Thank you very much.
Cheers to you. Oh, there's a freaking number on your name, dude. from the year 4100. I appreciate that. I feel it, dude. Thank you. Squadron 42 is not coming out this year. Oh, well, if you say so, Joe. Star Citizen has become something totally different from what was originally planned. Fairly, yeah. Fairly quite a bit. Great to see you flying past this Demo Rally. Love your content. Were you racing? CIG added 2,200 more Evos, so maybe Squadron 42 testing. It probably is going to help them get a lot more testing done in Evo than they were getting. You enjoyed the stability last year, but it's time to get more features in. If the flight model is incomplete, SC is just a tech demo. They could offer to make it the most advanced tech demo ever. Just like make everything work perfectly, but the flight model is still incomplete. They're like, we got you. Your theory is that's why they're moving on features, because they know 42 is getting delayed again? You think their original goal was to continue the stability push this year? What if it's because the devs that were doing the feature stuff don't have to do the are done with their work on Squadron? God, it almost hurts to hope for that, man. If it's actually feature complete, we'd have way more stuff coming into the PU. The only explanation is it's not, and they are still working things out. Is that the totality of your argument? Just that we should be getting more features, but because we're not, Squadron's not done? I mean, I get that as like a, maybe they're gonna fall behind, but that's to come out and definitively say that you know what's going on based on that is that's a lot. Astro Racing Syndicate finished your first race. Nice. Congratulations. Hell yeah. You comment on a video of someone using FPS scanning. What? That was their first time showing this FPS scanning. Since then, we've seen it multiple times in different environments where they've shown it off to us and told us it was coming soonish. But still nothing. I think 2024 we got actually a really good demonstration of it in the Life in the First Person demo. Let us see. Oh, that's the wrong one. No, it might have been navigating, actually. Yeah, I think it was navigating the verse. Navigating the universe.
I got you covered.
Yes, this is where they showed them scanning other enemies.
You do it? Okay. Well done, Baron.
If it doesn't come out this year, you see that as a huge setback and a failure on CIG's part. Yeah, I don't think they could get away from that not being the biggest failure if it doesn't come out this year. It's going to be an absolute terrible miss if it misses this year.
Success. Okay. There's no more hostiles nearby, so let's take a moment
Shroud
to
of the
talk about
Avatar.
MobiGlass. The MobiGlass is the Star Citizen equivalent of your smartphone. It has various apps that hook into the gameplay systems. Like all the UI we're showing you today, we wanted to redesign it with the player's usability in mind, to make it look good and also lay the groundwork for future expansion. Let's bring up the MobiGlass, please, Bone.
As a Squadron 42 move, it's just exciting to know that it's not going to be the same MobiGlass we had before. But honestly, the one that we have now, I think, even looks better than this. Maybe not. Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh?
No, this one's got the crazy holographics on it.
We've redesigned the interface to give a smoother user experience. We've overhauled the visuals, as you can see, to make it feel more three-dimensional and holographic.
What we were excited back then is wild.
Peak of the
Bro, we could go back in time. This was 2 years ago. Imagine going back like 5 years and looking back at what we were screaming our heads off for. It's like a door opening.
UEE military MobiGlass we've created for Squadron 42. This version has a focused selection of apps, and we're going to...
So that was not even most of the FPS scanning and stuff. They do more of it back here.
And you can see that our first mission...
This was them demoing new sight scopes, which are not in. We're still doing that set the entire screen's FOE zoom thing. Dude, I don't know if they're ever going to do the... You talking about... That would have been, I think... Here. I don't think they're gonna do the separated zoom.
Times.
Because I think it's too much of a frame rate hit. They're gonna have to optimize the absolute hell out of this game in order to do 2 different zooms.
Where a bullet is going to land, and it's projected from the visor using AR. Some visors won't have access to this LMG or a shotgun. As soon as they see you, they fire, they walk up to you.
Bring the eye to the next level.
I don't remember which one they showed that in.
Just far new.
It was like no, that was no. I know that was in the Star Engine. This one. Harold. Happy Monday, dude. Yeah, this would have been here. There we go.
Fill in half the options.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Gen 12. On color.
Where are the blood, sweat, and tears, though?
And we can even simulate blood.
There we go. Got to get that bloody nose tech.
It's completely even fed into the user, so tie into
People lose their minds over the idea that they've spent development time on this, but this is probably built into so many different game engines.
Rifle scopes.
There we go. This is what you're talking about.
Good enough. They didn't really feel realistic for them, and they thought it was a real core part of the first-person shooter experience. So to give you an idea of what we used to do, we used to use these type of fake scope meshes, which you see here, which is where we type of slice the scope in half so you can see through it. And sometimes we put these big black planes around them to obscure your vision. And we put a bit of glass on the front of it, but there was nothing really to tell you that it was a lens. So we've worked on a new scope shader, which is now going to be on all of our scopes moving forwards. And I'll give you a quick show of what that looks like in game. So on the first scope here, we're going to see it's got a infinite projected red dot scope sight. We've got lens distortions. You can see this little refraction and bending of light on it.
That looks great.
When you don't have to be actually holding the light.
But yeah, I don't know. Like they say that they're gonna do this, but I feel like I don't think have we gotten any sort of mention of this kind of thing since then? I really don't think we have. FC is not optimized now. Picture one. I guess there's a really long way to go in terms of optimization. We are so far away from feature complete and optimization. It's not fair to say that they wouldn't do this just because it might not be optimized enough. The game that we're going to be playing at some point after they've like actually added their features and optimized stuff is very, very different from this current game. It's kind of interesting to go look at a finished game and then come back to this and be like, oh shoot, there's a lot that's going to change here. Like we're still pretty far away in terms of the way that NPCs work and like areas and stuff. You could just go and play another game and kind of get the idea. It's not like those games aren't. The games are developed by the same kinds of people, the same philosophies. Yes, Star Citizen will change things up because they're trying to do things a little differently. The people at top maybe have some different ideas, but the developers themselves, generally the practices they use to complete the missions they're assigned for are going to be a lot of the stuff they bring over from other companies. So I'm not really thinking that what we experience here in terms of your basic contracts and your basic social areas and like points of interest are going to be that different from other games. And so it's easy to see just the absolute gargantuan amount of space in between what we're playing now and an actual game environment. One thing that's got you kind of confused is they obsess over star tech and their tools, but still are very slow in releasing any planets, even in their base state like they used to. That's because they were pushed for Stanton to finish it because Stanton, like back then, the point of making money was pushing forward on the game. Currently, the point of making money is making sure we can play the game. So it's less important to add planets and cool things that are shiny and interesting, and it's more important to add things that keep people busy and make people want to come back every month. New planets don't really do that, so they're kind of just adding planets as needed instead of as a hype metric. That's why we're seeing really cool trailers, content drops with storylines, events that have rewards that bring you back into the game. It's all about engagement right now. They'll get back to that. Kind of where they're going with the preview channel. But we're at it's a different era for the game now. VR games make good use of that tech as well. It used to be intensive, but mostly in games like Arma where it was still single-threaded. Yeah, Arma does some cool effects. Planets in current patches are almost tearing apart at the seams. Dude, they're bad. The Daymar Rally had a lot of graphics issues.
We've got a correct emulation of
It might genuinely be because they aren't keeping up maintenance on planets anymore. They're spending all their time on whatever new tech is going on. They might just be letting whatever used to be there kind of fall apart. Not great. But if it does get the new tech finished faster, that's cool. Are they going to tell us that's what's happening? No. So we don't actually know.
From the scope, so we have the blur, distortions.
But yeah, this is a cool effect. I'd love to see it.
And then we've also got support for digital
at least right now. See, it still does the zoom in there for this scope.
Like this one, which has light amplification and has support for EMPs. You know, if you get an EMP, you're going to have the display's going to get distorted.
You know what? I completely forgot about that. Has anybody tested that in game in 4.6? If you EMP a ship, does it lose lamp? I 100% forgot that they talked about that being a thing. They still do the Daymar Rally? Yeah, man. Have they mentioned anything about having time-gated content? We always will have time-gated content. It's just part of the idea of being in a evolving environment. I think that there should be content in different categories of the game at different times. But I do think that time-gated content is a cool metric, a cool mechanic. It's cool to be able to be in a timeline that is linear and not like a loop. It's kind of annoying to be in a loop. It costs a lot more money and a lot more dev time to keep time linear in a game environment like this, and maybe it's not doable, but I do think it's pretty cool. They were banging on about Genesis for Nyx 1 in the last ISCN Live. Well, yeah, they want to try and do that later this year, I think. Merhaba Benefit, man. Good to see you. We have plenty of planets already, but they are all pretty empty. Or you didn't say all. You just said they are pretty empty. They are kind of empty.
Proud of this. We think it's going to give a much better, more realistic simulation of
Thought people would be bored of driving in a straight line by now. Man, we've been doing it for hundreds of years. We're not stopping anytime soon.
Where they are, you don't have to be using the scope. You could look down somebody else's scope and see the same thing. It's fully integrated into it, so it's really quite proud of that. Next feature I want to talk about, hopefully if any of you have a HDR monitor and you've been playing 320, hopefully you've given a go of the HDR feature. We're really proud of this. It looks really good. And we've got some great feedback.
I'd call Genesis Cortec. I'd say, I mean, if anything that's being presented by this guy is going to be Cortec. You can't get away from freaking nerdy Ali Brown over here. And I mean that in the most respectful way. This guy is a maestro of Star Engine, and oh my god, CIG, hold on to him, please. You wish you could drive. Oh yeah, okay, that's pretty fucking funny, dude. Yeah, no, somebody was riding it, racing in the Daymar Rally, says, I wish I could have driven the Daymar Rally in a straight line. Yeah, no, you should see. Hold on. We could pull up one single clip. I know I've got a bunch of them here. That was so much filming we did. Hold on. You guys want to see how much footage we got? It's around here somewhere. Here we go. Look at this. Files on files, man. I have to go through all this. Well, actually, my editor has to go through all this. Poor guy. 200 freaking recordings. Yeah, no, we're gonna have to cut this down. There's no way he's gonna go through 200 recordings. This is gonna cost so much money. How much freaking space does it take up? It's 35 gigabytes. Yeah, okay, we're gonna have to take this at a. I'm gonna have to go through those and like pick and choose. That's too much. But I bet you any one of these, if you look inside of it, you'll find people not going in straight lines, doing some kind of a U-turn or a crash or something over a rock. No crashes, just me crashing, I guess. You quickly realize how they turn molehills into mountains. Yeah, that's actually the most interesting part, is how like the terrain is actually pretty subtly different between the different biomes, so you do have to drive them differently. There we go. There's your
kind of getting there.
I'm gonna make a compilation of these ridiculous physics bugs. It's gonna be great. A lot of bouncing, yeah. Base building would be the last to be implemented. So much wrong with SC that they have a long list. Last of what? Feature? I think it's something like Valor Stones and WoW that you need to upgrade your gear, but you can only get X amount each week. So they keep you logging you in. Ugh. Weekly unlockables. Eesh. That's not really what I'm into, but you know, as long as it's not taking over the game. Is the deaths from Daymar updated to the counter? Actually, it's not. We can update that, but I'm not putting it on the patch start over, because there's no point. That's gonna change over this week. Death count, though, I think we died what, 3 times? 3 or 4 times? I need to add the button back to my stream deck for that. Any tips on becoming an editor for Star Citizen specifically? You've done it for corporate companies, but you want to do it for SC. An editor, like you want to run a whole channel, or you want to edit for other people who are doing videos? Caught stuff like the dude with the boom tube at Reclaimer that Atmo didn't even mention. Man, the boom tube was crazy. That was nuts. I'm blown away that we were there at that. Like, there was a 7-hour race, and we just happened to be there when the guy was bringing out the boom tube. That is pretty cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to putting together the video. You rammed a support ship. I did. And I died. I didn't even blow up. I just lost my power plant. That was crazy. You want to edit for others? I think the best thing to help with editing for Star Citizen would be to know the footage, to know what footage has been shown. We have a really rare opportunity with Star Citizen to make videos using footage they've released. They release way more footage than most game companies do of their own game. So, and because that game footage generally is focused on certain topics, and those topics usually end up being news sources or things that you're covering, it's good to remember, you know, when certain things have been covered, because if you're editing for somebody in Star Citizen, they're probably writing a video about either a feature, some news, some gameplay, which if they're doing gameplay, then none of this really applies. But if they're doing anything about the actual game itself and the development, then they're probably going to mention something. If they mention something and you know exactly where you can go to get that footage, it'll make a difference. I think people really care about the context like that. Gameplay wise, I'm still terrible at gameplay, so I don't know if I'm the best to ask. Like, we could go look at my gameplay channel, and I think my last video did not do... Oh, I got 1,000 views. Nice. It wasn't doing too great at first, but yeah, I'm still trying to learn gameplay itself. It's weird. Just use AI editor? Ew. Hey, AI editor, delete yourself. No, I didn't take the support ship out. No, I was going like 15 meters per second, just kind of like slowly strafing up. And I bounced off the bottom of it and lost my power plant. And sat on the ground and slowly watched as my ship died. In fact, we could probably find that clip. That would have been... That was like fairly early on. Actually, I think that was a recording. It was like a full-on recording. Let's see. Ooh, what was that? That sounded interesting.
On the hill.
Oh yeah, this was cool. Dude, we got to see a lot of really cool interactions here.
With a fight on their hands here.
You don't usually see...
They made contact.
You don't usually see people running into each other too often in these races, but dang, we saw a lot of racers really close together.
No way they'll catch up though. They're right.
That was actually really surprising. Sometimes it was like 3 or 4 racers within a couple kilometers of each other, and they were trading shots. But I don't...
Well, it was a risk I took. Actually, no, I think it's just too late. I guess we'll just film it from here. Uh-oh.
I mean, you could use AI to flip through your files, not to edit the video. Egad. Yes, base building will be last. Land claim and such is not even on the radar. That's a lot of hopium trying to link crafting with base building. How is that hopium, man? Base building is just crafting buildings. Do you want to go on the record with that? Because we got our Garden Gang predictions spreadsheet now. We can keep track of hot takes. Because, let's see, Larch Lord's here. What is this one? Everything works in Squadron 42. We will be shocked at how well the game runs. We will see each other again in the verse in December, just in time for Nyx to be feature complete. You want to put your take? Are you on here? You're not on here. All right, buddy. On the block. Psychosis says that. Wait, where are you at? You on YouTube? Do you have a Squadron 42 prediction? While you're here, you might as well put it down. Base building will be the last feature added to the game. Can you copy pasta that take into chat so we can copy pasta it? What? You think AI is a solid tool for tagging? Maybe not great for final editing. Yeah. No, like flipping through files and stuff and tagging. But also I like employing people. Squadron 42 will be a broken mess, but we will all still love it and call it a game of the decade. Don't make me put that down on your prediction, man. Late next year for Squadron, for you? All right, I'll put you down as an October then. In October 27, boy. Where's Jess Game on here? Just Game, you're not on here either? Now that's a weird one. Mr. 1945. It's almost like Mr. Worldwide. You're on Twitch, brother. And I don't even think you put in your squadron prediction, but I'm gonna put you down for that one. What'd you say? Broken mess. That we will all call game of the decade. I'm sorry, man, but to be quite honest, I think that Squadron 42 has tougher competition in the space game realm now than it did when it originally was going to release. Yeah, I would say so. Because when Squadron was originally going to release, it's the closest comparison to it would have been Mass Effect Andromeda. And then there wasn't another game besides that until Outer Worlds. Elite Dangerous and No Man's Sky were not competing with Squadron 42. But now Squadron's competing with like this Expanse game. They've got Exodus on the horizon. I think there are more interested studios in space games too, so we might see some other announcements. Squadron 42 is a game we will play. It is a game. A seamless single player experience doesn't translate to a seamless one online. Squadron 42 might run great and hangars will still eat your ships. Could be. You don't think base building will be the last feature, but it may be the last huge feature. You're not wrong about that, Konshu. I need to look into something like that. Tagging might help. That actually, maybe a video storage software program wouldn't be a bad idea to create. Is there a thing like that on the market? That was one of my original ideas when I first started doing this, and I started creating like a huge repository of Star Citizen footage. Just like a ton. Just files on files on files. I could just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. It's 6,000 clips of Star Citizen footage in this folder, in just this one. We could also go over here.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming in. This is your captain
The
speaking.
gameplay
Tomato
one.
will be with you
There's another
shortly.
3,000 in here. Just like a lot of files. And I feel like while I was making all this, I really wanted to come up with like some kind of a program or something that could just organize them all, and then I can like let other people use that kind of a program to do it, because other people also are editing footage and it's a freaking crap ton of work to do. That might be something to pursue. Super Mac brother, bro, what's up? Wait, can we hear it for SMB? You give him a shout out, my man. Give him an applause too, please. Thank you for coming in. All right, shut up. Hey, everybody, welcome in. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. Thanks for the raid, my man. We're talking about things. I'm sure you were doing some, thank you very much. On the frontier, some off-the-grid living, hopefully. I enjoy watching that content from SMB. I like seeing how that goes. Thank you for dropping your folks with us, my friend. I love the Mac Attack. We love the Pirate Crew. You guys are good quality folks. Good fun. Good talks. Good laughs. How you doing today? You ready to jump in for some lightly controversial conversation about Star Citizen's big topics? We're on base building right now. That's a good one. Plex does something like that. Plex is, I mean, it's good for the like
Super
official
Mac
stuff.
Brother,
I'm
did you
looking
know
for
it's Tomato birthday.
I'm looking for something more along the lines of, I guess Plex kind of. I feel like there are some decent programs that could do something like that. I had to look into there. I gotta look into that. Mrs. Tomato, can you write that down, please? Thank you. Anonymous, thanks for gifting out a sub to Super Mac, by the way. Whoever Anonymous is, they've been blessing our stream for the last couple weeks, months. It's not my birthday. Base building test by March. I completely forgot about this video, huh? Let's look at what they had to say. Actually, there's a really good video they did about base building not too long ago. Well, okay, it was actually long ago, but like it's the most recent one they've done that's in a lot of detail. So for those who are just getting into this is a segment of our live streams on Mondays. We just always chat about what's going on Star Citizen wise on Mondays, and we're caught up in a rabbit hole of base building discussion. So I thought we'd go back and check out this video where they actually talked quite a bit about base building and crafting after their announcement of it in, well, not announcement, but like their deep dive into how it would work in 2024. They did a little Star Citizen live here that I've listened to a couple times. They got some topics we could swing through here and get like a little bit of conversation going and see what comes of it. First, we're going to start with,
what?
Actually, why don't we start, is there anything about, because you said land claims were the thing that were causing you pause. So let's start with that. This is a little bit about how land claims are going to work in the game. No, it's not my birthday. You were here for that? That was a fun day, man. That was a really freaking fun birthday. I hear Plex is actually losing a lot of business to competitors now because they've started to shoehorn a lot of stuff in. Oh yeah, Adobe Bridge kind of works, but I fucking hate Adobe, so we'll not be doing that. Not my birthday. Thank you though. Appreciate you. All right. Land claims.
What our current thinking is, what our current plan is, what our current intention.
What's a
for
land
how
claim?
Land claims.
It's a claim
supposed to work. And
that's on
keep in
land.
mind that, like everything else, there's a period of time between now and when this is implemented, and we reserve the right to have any better ideas that come along. We reserve the right to look at what you've said on Reddit and Spectrum and everywhere else on YouTube comments and have that inspire better ideas. So while these things may change, let's talk about what the current plan for implementation is for land claims.
Yeah, so there's a lot here. I'll kind of walk through just plots of land in general, and then we'll talk about how the land can.
Thank you very much.
Into that. So when you go to acquire a plot of land to build on, there's a couple of choices you need to make straight off the bat. We have a general plot, which allows you to build anything, and then there are prospecting plots, which are a little bit smaller, they're cheaper, and they're more geared towards mining. You'll see a square layered on the terrain, and that's basically your current selected plot of land. You can grab a face of it, make it a rectangle, make it into a bigger square, and this is you selecting the surface area that you want and the.
Leave it to CIG to reinvent the wheel and turn it into a square. Good God. Benefit man, dude, thank you for the subs. I'm gonna throw you on the toes, gang here. I appreciate you, dog.
Scales up with the surface area. If you were to purchase a 1 by 1 kilometer and then another 1 by 1 kilometer, it would actually be more expensive because the cost will take into account the total surface area you own on the planet. Where the beacon comes in is that you kind of skip this initial UEC cost for purchasing a plot. You just use the beacon and you have your plot of land. From then onwards, if you bought with UEC or used a land claim beacon, there'll be a reoccurring UEC tax. And if you fail to pay that tax over a period of time, you'll begin to lose rights to your base, and eventually you'll lose complete ownership of the land, complete ownership of the building. They can be looted, someone else can buy up that area. That's, you know, it's very important that we avoid this concept of like a dead base. We don't want people to be able to just go AFK either for a year, even though they stacked up billions in their account. We still don't want them to be able to have a dead base. We want to free that up for the players. In addition to that, there will be some limitations where you can buy plots of land and use beacons. We're going to have, for want of a better term, a national park, both in lawful and lawless areas, and it's a no-build zone, and this allows us to reserve land that's pristine for exploration, it's pristine for resource gathering, and so on. I think that's, oh no, there's one other thing, sorry. When you have your plot of land, there'll also be an exclusion zone around it where no one else can buy or build, so you can't get boxed in. That is a high-level summary, I suppose, of the current plan for land claims and plots in general.
Gotcha. So
yep.
let me see.
At this point, it is all plans in his head. Well, not in his head, but like from what he's saying, it's all plans.
I understand this. To re-summarize it here, so anybody will be able to go and purchase a plot of land so long as it's available, so long as it's not in one of these no-build exclusion zones. You reference national parks. They're not literal national parks on Pyro 3 or whatever, but you know, areas that are protected for gameplay reasons. We have to make sure that there's still plenty of areas to do missions and minables and stuff like this. So anybody will be able to buy a plot of land in one of the buildable areas. The land claims basically are your like coupon for that. It's like you can pay a brand new UEC cost to purchase that, or if you have a land claim, it's like, nope, I already prepaid. This is my prepaid voucher, and you hand that in, and you get the land claim for that. So it's open to everyone. One is just a voucher. You've already got that ready for you.
See, that's where most of the drama comes from, and I think that's really funny. People will look back at, God, what was it? I think it was I want to say CitizenCon 2016, where they sold land claims. Terrible idea. Absolutely awful idea. Very, very scammy soundy. And like, this is why they have this whole reputation, because they did like stuff like this so much. Was it 2017? Okay, it might have been 2017 actually. Hold on. Every year, every single year, there was some kind of a hubbub at CitizenCon. This was this year's, and it caused a ton of drama because people were literally thinking that CIG was selling the, you know what? Hold on. People thought that CIG was literally selling land. But they weren't. They were selling the beacons that represent the land. Oh, Jesus, I'm not going to scroll through all this. So this was all with the Pioneer. Like, this is what it all had to do with. And I have such a bad connection right now that I can't even preview my YouTube video to see what's going to be there. But the idea was they were selling land claims which were these coupons or certificates or beacons that he's talking about in this video, that were essentially just an item in the game that you'd get whenever they were released, and then you'd be able to go and use them to get a land claim. But people thought they were literally selling the land and reserving it so nobody else could get it. People were like, well, what are we going to do once the game comes out and the land's already claimed? No. It was like getting a voucher. You still have to get into the game and go get the land. It's like getting a blueprint. You still have to go in the game and craft the stuff. So it wasn't actually that big of a deal. I just think it was dumb to buy. but they made plenty of money from it. And I mean, a lot of the stuff in this game seems dumb to buy to somebody, so I can't fault people for wanting to get the land if they know they're going to get it at some point anyways. Just, it was a weird self-created controversy that was almost entirely made because they just wanted to sell something else. Yeah, CIG never said they were selling actual land. And if you're wondering how these land claims work, I can actually give you a little looky-loo, because they did give us a look at how they wanted base building to work.
And we're super
in two different versions. So first they gave us this kind of small one.
From the top of the card gives us a controllable augmented view of the land. In the new structure mode, we'll pick a small basic structure and hit construct. For this demo, the construction will be instantaneous, but in the final product, this will take you quite some time. We've done it. We've built our first structure. Let's have a look on the inside.
This is all dev build. Just to be clear, I am not making these statements myself, as in like, I can't verify the information in these videos, but he does say somewhere here that this is working for them in their own builds, not in an MMO environment, but
structures. As we've already found the location and don't need to claim land in Lawless Pyro, we can straight dive into building our base. Keep in mind, the following UI is work in progress. But in the final version, as we walk into the small basic structure, we see an empty interior that is dimly lit. It's up to us to define what we will use this space for. In our case, we will want to make it into a home. We can see that the lights are still off, and that is a problem, because no lights means no atmosphere, no breathable atmosphere. So it's not ideal to live in. So how do we solve this issue? We can improve this by providing the building with power. Let's see if we can build something that helps us out.
So this is part of why engineering is important, not just because people think they want ships to blow up faster. Sure, maybe that's why. But also, obviously, bases need a resource system.
And I wonder what Declan was up doing there. Keep in mind that base building is still work in progress, but what you're seeing right now has been recorded directly in the client and works seamlessly between first person and the building mode.
See, so this is October 2024. I am sure the work on this feature has not been consistent since then. The devs who have been working on this probably had to go back to Squadron, probably had to work on other stuff. Likely the same people are working on some of the crafting functionalities. So I'm not saying that this has made some giant leap in progress since then, but this is more than a year old at this point.
Okay, enough. Back to base building. In the list of new structures, we see a small fuel generator. That is something that could solve our problem, I think. Power providing structures need to be hooked up to other buildings inside construction ER mode, but we'll explain this later. The fuel generator is one of several structures that provides power, each with their own benefit and drawbacks. Fuel power is quick and easy to build, but it requires a constant supply of fuel besides its regular maintenance. If a structure is not maintained, it will halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational.
So all of this is maintenance, it's engineering, it's the upkeep. It's why people keep saying, oh, you know, big orgs are going to get huge bases, take over a ton of land. In this time we've been covering base building so far, we have learned that the price of owning these bases will increase dramatically as you get more space on a planet, per planet basis. You have to maintain all of them, from a fuel to a fuses to a literally just hooking up the power kind of standpoint. You're going to have to transport stuff to and from them physically. Like, having a lot of bases might sound like a great thing to some people, but it's going to be a drag. It might not be the best to have all of a bunch of bases on one planet. You probably want to have bases on a bunch of different planets, different resources, different vantage points. I think that's less of a problem and more a problem. What if one org has a huge base on every planet in a system? That kind of thing is going to be the rough part.
The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of our building.
This isn't new. It's not 4 years old, but it's not new.
And more importantly, we get to activate it here.
So this is the smaller version that they showed, but then they jumped forward to
automated drones are capable
what they want to be a bigger version. I think this is definitely much further away. This would be kind of like the first version of base building I can imagine us getting is like the small drones, like maybe the Starlancer, or the Starlancer build. But this kind of stuff is crazy. This is like
so
pioneer level.
Quite a big advantage. We'll pop into our construction AR and we'll get down a generator, we'll connect some buildings together just so we have a place to call home before we begin. All right, there we go. So we've settled on one of the brand new underground resource deposits and we're about to exploit it using this. It is our extractors. This particular one is a large solid extractor. We'll also have liquid and gas depending on which type of deposit that you've settled on. We have our output grid here where we're getting all the brand new resources up out the ground.
This is going to be difficult because you got to factor all this stuff into the economy. Like these are, I think it's, I think in this video, he says something along the lines of everything in the game is going to have a resource sink and source. And so everything that does pop up to do that, they need to actually factor in how it's going to impact the rest of the game. But I don't think, let's see, source.
Resolve that and get that like in a really good state.
So what
Go ahead.
What you're talking about there is like the concept of resource sources and sinks, because having your extractor on your base is a source of resources until it's depleted, but then we need to make sure that there's also sinks for that resource in various gameplay loops, so that you don't just have inflation essentially of just a build-up of resources you can't do anything with. So yeah, that'll be a very careful balancing act.
And this is talking about, I think, resources actually respawning underneath bases.
To them away, or will we have to eject them by hand? Tractor them away. Underground transit system and stuff. To mention it's this kind of like an underground transit system and stuff that allows certain buildings to connect with other buildings underground, even if you don't see them connected above ground.
Yeah, freight elevator network.
Yeah. Hey, a mining question. Will underground deposits respawn over time, and how is the overall rarity of minerals accounted for in the economy?
Short answer, yes. so they will respawn. But it is very unlikely that they will respawn on the land plot that you already have. So if you already have a base, you already extracted it, every mineral that was below your extractor, it's very unlikely that the deposit will respawn. So what we want to see there is players more moving around in their bases and basically going through new locations and actually grabbing new resources. And to answer the economy part of that question, yes, that is a huge undertaking that we have to go through here, and that is like we really have to get certain resources out of the system, and the system being our game. And that means that we, as the system design team and everyone working on that, we really have to work closely with the economy team and make sure that even everything that we pull out of the system is meaningful, and then we create certain values for certain resources, because we really want to have a player-driven economy, and we want to have a healthy in-game economy that is driven by our game. And it's a challenge, but we are definitely motivated to resolve that and get that in a really good state.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of stuff happening at the same time. That's for sure. But they talk about the underground resources and stuff, the deposits, the power management, all that kind of jazz in this presentation. I know it's a little bit old. It's
You'll
probably like a year.
in nearby lands.
A little over a year old now.
Here's a concept of construction ER. From here, we get a more detailed view of the land. Where can and can't I settle? For an example, inside a nature reserve, construction will be prohibited. Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity? Let's say we found a good place to start building our base. Then next up, we need to find a good place for our first structure.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And really the biggest signs we have that this is even going anywhere at all, well, we don't. It wasn't even mentioned on the letter from the chairman. So I wouldn't think this is really a focus of this year. Not covering this because I think it's coming anytime soon. Really, it was just a topic in the chat. But there are some parts of this showing up in the files. There have been a little bit of data mining that finds some assets that refer to base building in the files, and it's kind of a insight into some of the leak stuff going on, which we don't really cover much, but it is the only sign that we have so far. I do find one of the best parts though of this whole story, this saga, was their stupid little advertisement for it. When was that? Star Citizen 2024. I want to say it was like a 3.24 ad. The little video they did for it. Man, there's no way I'm going to be able to find it, huh? Is this it?
Alpha 324 is
oh,
bringing
shoot,
tremendous
this is
changes
it.
to how you manage your belongings.
This is so dumb. This was crazy. This was like they were advertising 324. This is the first time they had ever done this, like a short to advertise a patch. And it was like, oh, okay, maybe this is something new that they're going to start doing with all their videos. But they only did it once, I think.
In the verse, organize your cargo. Keep your gear close.
It's a big feature. It's a cool update.
Into the fray. Your own space means quicker access to the things you need.
It's like, cool, persistent location, sick. And then they went and they did this. In classic f***ing CIG fashion.
And Alpha 324 is just the beginning of establishing your home. Stay tuned for more at CitizenCon this year. Until then...
Bro, you know how hyped it got when people were seeing suit lockers? They're like, stay tuned for Star. It had nothing to do with the patch. It was literally, this patch is coming out. Oh yeah, and also we're throwing a convention later this year. It was an ad for an idea of a feature. Don't do that anymore, CIG. Don't do that. This was awful.
Alpha 324. It's time to shape your own adventure.
You don't need to play with people like that anymore to market. So silly. But anyways, this is a, you know, a little dive into base building and the plan for it. I don't know when it's going to come. I hope it comes sometime soon. I hope we can at least test this in the preview channel this year. But it wasn't on the letter from the chairman. Maybe they'll do like their big roadmap roundup in February where they show us all the big things they want to work on this year. But it seems to be a little bit different the way that they're doing it all. So I don't know how it's going to work, but I wouldn't place any bets on base building being a thing in the live game this year. Crafting? Sure. Base building, maybe not so much. Those are my thoughts on it. Somehow we got tomato cussing at CIG after a great rally. Always a good time to cuss. You like being abused, that's why you play this game and others like it. It can be fun. This is an interesting talk, though. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Or we don't have to stay on blueprints. There's a lot of talk around blueprints right now. I'm getting tagged and stuff around this. I'm not sure why. Actually, let me see if I can. No. I'm not even going to be able to find it. I'm getting tagged in people talking about like blueprints. Apparently there's a lot of displeasure bubbling up around the idea that crafting isn't actually crafting and it's just like matching materials to blueprints. I didn't know that there was expected to be more. I understand that there can be more like skill involved in the crafting game mechanic. But I feel like crafting is kind of like a scavenger hunt almost, in that part of the being good at crafting is knowing where to find things, so it's almost like exploration in a sense. But a lot of that displeasure has been centered around blueprints and the idea that you can or cannot trade them. So at the very least here, we can go over blueprints, or at least show what CIG said going over blueprints and what they do for the game and for the players and kind of how they're supposed to work. Just to clear that up, like, I don't know why this is a problem for some people, but maybe you could explain in the comments or chat.
Just happy I got you to say munching again. While we're still in crafting here, will there be limited use blueprints?
Yes. In short, yes. We're going to be supporting both finite use blueprints, so like you get it, you can only use it n times. And then also blueprints that have a cooldown in between uses, so you can only use it, periodically. It's just to give us some extra ways to balance and limit certain things, but we're not giving any examples of that at this point.
Yeah. I was there on a Hazy server in Star Wars Galaxies when it launched, cornering the market on Cracked Dragon Pearls and just ripping out so many items, so many weapons and stuff, so many armors to corner the market before anybody else could catch up. So it's nice to know that there are going to be limits on some of the more interesting things. Can you trade blueprints?
Yes and no. So we mentioned at SitCon that the blueprints are awarded to your character, essentially, to your character's virtual blueprint library. So if you get directly credited a blueprint from a mission or a reputation reward or something, then it's bound to your character. You can't trade it. But there will be some gameplay where you find blueprints on a data pad, and that data pad can be traded before you read the data off it. Once it's been downloaded, though, it's gone. It's a one-time download, essentially. So if you've already found this blueprint and you find another blueprint of it in a loot crate somewhere, you can give it to your friend, but once they've downloaded it, the data pad is dead.
So I understand, like, we were having our own sort of conversation about this, of the idea of if blueprints are locked to the player, then what does that awkward situation turn into where you're out there going and getting stuff with other people and there's only one blueprint, you have to make that decision, and like somebody picks it up, they weren't supposed to, well, too late, it's assigned to their character, now they're suddenly your permanent crafter in your group or something like that. Like, I have plenty of questions surrounding that, and I think that's the kind of stuff that will get figured out, or at least explained to, in the next couple months when they're ready to get this feature into our hands. But I guess the other thing that people have an issue with here is that if blueprints are permanent, then eventually if everyone gets every blueprint, nobody's going to need to go out and ask somebody else to craft stuff for them. The case there being that they do need to have a lot of blueprints that are limited in time. They got to have blueprints that decay or have only a certain amount of re-blueprinting, quote unquote, or creation. And then also obviously make them really rare. So like, yeah, maybe everybody's got the blueprint for the Karna, but only 2% of the community has the blueprint for a Karna with over 900 quality aluminum kind of thing. You think it's a pretty normal system for MMOs? Seems like it. Seems pretty close to Star Wars Galaxies, to be honest. I need to find somebody who covered Star Wars Galaxies like really closely back in the day and have a sit down with them on the podcast. Originally, we were not going to do crafting, but we could rent factories and have NPCs produce goods with licensing from manufacturers. Yeah. Something along those lines. That was theory crafting. Crispy and Chris. This will make it tricky to make sure our crafting specialists have most of the cool blueprints. Yeah. Yeah, there's going to be... we're going to have to figure out how to make that work. Like, we're going to have crafters out in the field with our groups to make sure they pick up the blueprints. You can trade blueprints, but only if they're on something that's already a hard disk. Like, listen to what he says here.
Weapons and stuff, so many armors, blueprints.
We mentioned at SitCon that the blueprints are awarded to your character, essentially, to your character's virtual blueprint library. So if you get directly credited a blueprint from a mission or a reputation reward or something, then it's bound to your character.
So that is probably not as important because it's the loot boxes and the stuff you find. That would be mostly what's being questioned and what's being argued over or something, but it is still some of the blueprints, when you do apply them, they get added. But I guess as long as we're finding data chips, we just need to make sure that we keep all data chips unclaimed until after an event, where we turn them in and probably like auction them out from the org or something, or we let the people who found them keep them if it's that kind of thing. But ultimately, this is a part of MMOs that I have not been involved in, so I have a lot of learning to do. You lived and breathed Star Wars Galaxies? How do you feel like this is going in comparison, TK? Are you the TK that I've known for like 6 years now? If so, that's crazy. Hopefully they're always on data pads then, yeah. Anyone can pick the tablet up, but if you read it, it's downloaded to you. Yes, that is correct. I'm talking about the ones that aren't in loot boxes. So the loot box blueprints you can pick up and you can keep and you can trade and you can give to other people and they can assign to themselves. But you still will need to make sure that the crafters that you have picked who know how to do the crafting and are linked into your supply chains are the ones who are getting the blueprints in the end.
You can't trade it. But there will be some gameplay where you find blueprints on a data pad, and that data pad can be traded before you read the data off it. Once it's been downloaded, though, it's gone. It's a one-time download essentially. So if you've already found this blueprint and you find another blueprint of it in a loot crate somewhere, you can give it to your friend. But once they've downloaded it, the data pad is dead.
Cool for loot, but if you run a huge mission for a faction and that faction has a crazy cool reputation reward, I wonder if everybody in the group that finishes the mission gets that reputation reward. Yeah, I would guess so. That would be absolutely wild if you finished the mission and then didn't get it and only one person got it and it was just locked to them. I'm guessing that they're going to take the easy way out and make sure that everybody has ample opportunity to pick it up. At this point, you put in a character leveling system and let me choose a... Ew! No! We do not need a leveling system. Good God. You just want 4.6 to come out already? Few days. One-time blueprint, endless time sync. Well, the things that people seemingly have problems with are... I'm sorry. So the other side of this, I never even got to the end of this whole point. That was one side of like the problems that people were having with the crafting. The other was actually, like you guys said, people want to do the literal crafting. They want to wield the hammer. They want to smash the anvil, and that determines how good or bad it is. And then if it is good or bad crafting that you do, that's how good your item is. I like that to an extent, especially in combination with the materials. But I'm not sure how far we could really go with that. So this is kind of like a hey, it's Lucid. Lucid Strike made a post kind of talking about this. Crafting is a common endpoint for other game loops more than a deep mechanic on its own, and talked about this, how this works. Based on blueprints, if crafting itself were meant to be the gameplay, they wouldn't give us some means of engaging in it in isolation. They would have given us some means of engaging in it in isolation. Having only blueprints, all we could initially do is prioritize deciding which blueprints we wanted to fulfill and which materials we needed to secure in order to do so. This is him talking about how, for our test, we got blueprints but no materials, because they weren't testing the crafting, they were testing more than just, you got to test a lot of different aspects of crafting, not just the act of doing it. But he was saying, blueprints are simultaneously like recipes and invoices, and CIG set us up basically to make shopping lists from them and head out into the world. Because instead of crafting golf swing, you have logistics. Instead of crafting golf swing, you have exploration. You have mining, refining, cargo, piracy, escort, bounty hunting. Eventually you'll have player-to-player trading, data running, faction, and guild relations. This is kind of the approach that I feel like the game is taking, is that even for the things that are golf swing, like mining, it's not necessarily just the fact that you're using the golf swing to break the rock that makes mining complex. It's the fact that you had to go and make sure you had the right mining laser, or that you were in the right place, or that you even have a big enough or the correct ship before you even go out there. It's the preparation, the actual action, and then the conclusion of what you're doing. I think the pacing on those kinds of things is off, and CIG has to do some work to make sure they're all fun, and there's plenty of features missing. But I'm in the kind of the same boat here. Like, these are all just a means to an end, and those means need to be fun enough to be their own gameplay, but not necessarily their own mechanic on its own. Haven't they already done contracts where only the person who first accepted the contract gets the full reward and everyone else splits the cash payout? They've done all kinds of things for contract splits. We'll see what they settle on. You hope they don't make it anything like mandatory? I don't think it's mandatory. It sounds like you can get everything in game from in-game stores or loot boxes and stuff. You don't have to craft it, but just the better stuff will be crafted. How many blueprints will there be? Oh, I think just about everything is going to have a blueprint. Complex crafting in an MMO simply creates an industrial career loop, as with mining or security or bounty hunting. I think I see the loop with this. Can I practice my paint skills? I think I could do some paint stuff. Let's say you've got like got your mining people over here, right? Your little pickaxe. Ding 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 ding. We break rocks, rock and stone. It's your good folks. These people have to get their minerals from somewhere, right? It's not like they're just going out and mining something nowhere. So to them, you got to find your explorers. How do you do it? We're gonna make a compass for the explorers. It's got a little arrow going north, and then an arrow going south, and then 2 lines, and then a bunch of ticks around the outside because it's a compass. This looks like a compass, right? Explorers. Crafting's literally creating exploration, right? We have to go out and get high quality items. Orgs are literally going to lose battles because they don't have the strongest things. And you only get the strongest things if you have people who can find and mine the strongest things. And honestly, if CIG's doing this right, they're going to put their money where their mouth is with the people who are saying there's nothing to discover in a game where everything's already been explored. Plenty of corners of this game have probably never seen any human contact before. So they need to start putting some really high quality stuff out there for explorers to find. Once the miners get the freaking stuff, they still got to pass it to somebody else, not the crafters themselves, but the refiners. The refiners got a little cauldron. It's got smoke coming out of it. Looks like a megaphone. The refiners also have their own gameplay. We've actually listened to their concept for refining. I will admit, they haven't shown me any gameplay that actually looks like cool refining, but it is a thing, and it has to happen. At least right now, it's just like a little addition to mining. But refiners are part of that loop as well. And then finally, the refiners are sending it over to the crafters. And the crafters, they got their little workbench here. I don't know. Yeah, that looks like a workbench. A table, maybe. You're crafting. You're doing your stuff. That's the end of the chain. But, like, it still doesn't end there. Even when you're crafting the stuff, you give it to the people who are actually using it. Let's say you make a little pistol, a little squirt gun. Pew, pew. Pew, 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 pew. This gun is just another part of the cycle. It still gets used. It still gets worn down. We've seen all of their wear and tear discussions. Some people really don't like the idea of wear and tear. But wear and tear exists. We see it for ships. Ships blow up. We see it for armor. Armor gets shot up. Guns are going to break down over time. Even our bodies are going to break down over time with Death of a Spaceman. Eventually, this stuff either gets lost or looted or destroyed or broken down into materials one way or another. Somebody, another player, can use this gun and can eventually break it down into materials. Those materials can get lost or stolen or whatever, but eventually they will get turned probably back into a refiner. But ultimately, you got this pretty big loop that, like, depending on what kind of thing you're crafting, I mean, you could craft a component, and that essentially could go back to the explorers, or it could go anywhere because you're crafting the stuff that they're all using. But I'm pretty sure I'm missing a link here. Got the mining. I guess salvaging is also out here. At the end of the day, though, it's a whole loop, and the point is to be a part of the loop. Now, now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I do agree that crafting has to have interesting aspects in it enough to keep people involved and engaged. Like, there needs to be something that you can do in crafting that sets you apart. I don't think it's necessarily like the act of crafting per se, but maybe Maybe it's what you do with your crafting bench. Maybe it's how you tune it, the engineering efforts that you put into it. I'm not sure. I do think that there should be something that keeps it a bit of active gameplay. But for the most part, I do believe in this chain, and I think that being a part of this chain is more important than being the whole chain. Which honestly, actually, yeah, does make me feel like crafting does need to still have more involved in it gameplay-wise. I'll have to sit and think on that. Guns are used, guns wear out, guns are replaced. Yeah, that was another one of those things that really annoyed people as a feature, as a standalone feature. Kind of made people thinking, why are we going to have to deal with maintaining our weapons? Because everything has to break down.
Got some options. You don't have to fix it. You could holster your gun, you could pull out a new gun. You could use that new looting interface ANS showed to grab a better gun. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna finish this section with the features that's tangentially related to wear, and that's the dirt accumulation. So here again, we're gonna see a simulation of dirt accumulating over time on the same rifles we saw before. But in the actual game, this would be based on your activities and the environment you're in. So if you're running around in a sandstorm, you're rolling in mud, you leave your gun outside.
No, item durability is hella old.
It's gonna accumulate dirt, and
which is why it's a little weird that it gets the reactions it does. It's not at all niche or out of the blue to add durability to items in games. It's in like most immersive sims. It's in a lot of RPGs, MMOs, action adventure games even. Like some of the most basic Tomb Raider kind of stuff. You'll have weapons and stuff breaking down. And it makes sense in a game where all of your ships already break down. Being the whole chain is the only way for a crafter to actually survive. If you have to pay
the launch release date, you'll be the first to know.
If you have to pay a prospector to find materials and then pay a miner to get them and then pay a refiner to refine them and then craft the things after paying for a group to spend a week farming for blueprints, then every tier 1 weapon will cost 15 million to produce per piece. Or you could just pay a store for the materials and craft the stuff, right? You don't have to pay like you could just be this person paying this person. You don't have to go through all of these people. This person paid this person, and this person paid this person. Just pay the refiner and get your mats, or pay a store even better and not even have to deal with people. I mean, it would, yeah, I think there's a difference between being in charge of the whole crew. Like you could hire all these people yourself and then be the person who runs the whole thing, or you could just ask someone for materials and buy them from them. Some parts are changed out over time, but as time goes on, more adventures and emotion is put into the ship, even as it has new parts. Think of the Mando. What's the ship name? Razor Crest? Yeah, they do need to put a little update out on this. Paying a store would not get you the high-end stuff, so the high-end weapons are going to be expensive. Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable to expect to have to pay to play. Maybe not still paying every party, but you're going to have to pay somebody for expensive materials. think they... No, they didn't talk about base building in this CitizenCon. That's probably the biggest tell, huh?
Just highlighting some really cool biomes that we can create, let's go ahead and show how all this work applies to the upcoming planets of Nyx.
Crafter doesn't pay each step along the way. The crafter only pays the guy who's refined the materials. Right.
3 is a gas giant, and I think it's blue.
How immersive would it be if stations and points of interest need to be maintained by the community, though? I think that's the missions that they're starting to put in.
Toxic. It's got like this high pressure atmosphere, and it's like a very volatile planet with high risk reward gameplay. It's going to have some really interesting biomes for you to discover, but for now, just know it's going to be dangerous, because today we're going to focus on what we consider to be the hero planet of
If
this
CIJ make materials available for cheaper in NPC shops, then nobody would do the work. Well, if they're the same quality materials, then yeah, I agree. But if they make lower quality materials cheaper in shop, then the people who don't use those are probably going to have a little bit of a leg up.
Ranges to vast sweeping forests and grasslands, and from damp expansive wetlands to claustrophobic festering swamps.
Festering.
These core biome
It's gross, dude. You never want to be described as festering.
give us a fantastic platform to hone our technology. In some cases, because the current tech couldn't do them at all, or because we want to completely step up our game for them.
That doesn't make the price for materials not include all the other costs, but the other costs aren't all coming from the same place. The person who's mining from here is charging this guy the price because they mined in Nyx, but they're also competing with somebody else who's probably charging the prices because they mined on Magda. So they're going to have to lower their prices. This guy's going to take the cheapest price anyways. You're going to take the cheapest price from him. He's not going to be the only person who's selling to you, so they're going to have to lower their prices as well. Like, if this works how it's supposed to, I fully understand that a player economy could collapse and it might not work. But if it does work based on supply and demand, you should be paying 15 million credits or some gargantuan amount of credits for a material that somebody else can get to you for not that expensive. And if that doesn't work, then I think CIG should hopefully be building the flips, the switches into these stores to be able to just add the materials if nobody wants to buy them. Like if a material falls flat, the whole point of them having their Star Sim quantum simulation thing was so that they can still keep the economy going, right? Even if players aren't buying. But I just feel like, naturally speaking, you're not going to have to pay ridiculously inflated prices for something just because other people were involved in the game loop. It's got to be because there's something going on with the supply and demand. People sell pretty common items for millions of AUEC right now. I bet you I can find out the reason for that real quick. In fact, I think one of these guys even mentioned it.
Once it's been downloaded, though, it's gone. It's a one-time download, essentially. So if you've already found a resource in various gameplay loops, so that you don't just have inflation, essentially.
There we go. So as long as they can avoid that, I think they'll be okay.
Wetlands to claustrophobic festering swamps.
Might pay a good amount of money if you're making a really nice T5 weapon.
To hone our technology.
Somebody
In some
might,
cases, because the current tech couldn't do them at all, or because we want to completely step up our game for them. So, let's approach this planet in much the same way that
You can only sell the price, something at the price someone else is willing to pay. Yeah, I mean, if you're a moose, dude, how much are people really going to
far
pay?
more tied to what is present on the surface. Previously, we had different data that drove the orbital and ground coloring. That's because the orbit was designed to look like vegetation that we'd place on the surface, and the ground coloring was trying to be a mix of soil, rock, and the organic compound coloring that forms the kind of colors there. Now we author much more of the data in a unified way. When you look at Earth, you see blues and greens for ocean and vegetation, and brown or yellowy tones for sand and soil. We wanted to keep it as simple as that. The same set of textures and data that define the color of the soil, sand, and rock on the ground are used to create the orbital look. We then assess the presence of vegetation and competition between different species on each part of the planet, and use that to blend in tones.
You got
green,
purple mountains.
including variations due to
They don't know what color mountains are. That's why economy like Eve needs to be implemented, and CIG has not even designed what material are for certain things. Base building would be last. Well, I mean, I can say that they have, because in the crafting test we had materials for certain things. But an economy like Eve would be cool, just not entirely. Is Eve entirely player-driven economy? That seems like a bit much. I like the X4 economy. X4 is a really cool game. They have a very, very cool game world to just watch go about its time. Have I done any of the content from the past year? What? Any of what content? Many Coruscant players dupe parts for Wicklow, Idris, and Polaris. They are like making only one every 1 to 2 hours. Why nobody is addressing that? Oh, we've been gnashing teeth for the last several weeks, buddy. Have you missed all of the Zuzo? My friend, it's like the top topic of the last couple of weeks has been the potential of a wipe in the game. But yeah, that's why there's no economy. If you can sell 1,000 SCU of iron at 5k per SCU to an NPC, the player either has to bid the same or be a smooth talker. You gotta send feet pics, dude, or else I'm selling to the NPC. Did Daymar Rally work well? It had its rough parts. Honestly, it didn't even look like it was going to happen the morning of. So from that perspective, yeah, went well. But it certainly exposes the things that Star Citizen needs to pick up on for things like that to work out. For purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. For amber waves of grain. What? Is that a real quote, Brig? Don't start. Hey, don't start with the wipe nonsense. Eve is players only. Egad. Yeah, no, I don't want that. Players are crazy. Yeah, I hope the game's not an easy mode, Hustle. I hope that they... PKP, don't start it. Some stuff drops from Pirates and Eve, but most holes and mods are player made. I see. A link to the video I'm currently watching. This big old boy, yeah, this thing is... It's like a 3-hour stream. This is where they were talking about Planet Tech.
This creates a far more.
This is one we can probably all agree on is going to come in this game or this year. Planet Tech never fails. This team is always on time.
Let's go down to the surface and start with something
mostly
on
time,
but in a whole new light. When we approached the surface of the planet, we wanted to start by focusing on just the soil and rock. One of the things that was missing from our terrain previously was simply feature complexity. Looking at our contemporaries, we lacked detail at the ground scale. To combat this, we've added a new layer of data. That layer is called the medium tiles.
Medium.
These are intelligently placed on top of the existing 4-kilometer terrain tiles based on slope, soil type, and other erosion data. And these medium tiles don't just create height changes, they also bring in local erosion data both for soil and bedrock size values. And this gives us a whole new level.
Hey, I didn't start talking about, hey, it was Zuzu, okay? Zuzu confirmed, don't come at me.
And allows us to create far more unique locations.
You disgusting sickos, and you're wiping.
So now that we've nailed the surface, let's have a look at adding some rocks.
This is the last Citizen
We've now
Con.
got 2 major contributors to the rock content of our planets. Firstly, long desired feature, cliffs.
Yay!
We are adding very detailed to all our cliffs based on the geology at a given location. This adds an exciting new dimension to steep slopes that we simply couldn't get before. The second is a big one for you ground vehicle enthusiasts. Rocks are now found not scattered everywhere, like spilt popcorn at the cinema, but only in places you'd expect to find them, thanks to a brand new rock scattering algorithm that isn't annoying as hell. Using physical...
Damar Rally. Oh, man. It's going to be so much more interesting. No, they need an SC, a planet with vicious killer species that only comes out at night. Oh, God. You want Pitch Black and Star Citizen? I'm here for it.
Data generated for each large and medium tile. Now rock distribution makes sense and has a physical basis. So if you're still crashing into them after this comes out, that's on you.
Skill issue. Dude, this shot right here, man. The grass looks so good in this shot. Ah.
The rock assets themselves have had a glow up too. We now create rock...
I really hope... One of the biggest things that I'm hoping from this crafting and like mining update. So there's one of the things that they said in this actually is they talk about the future of gameplay and how it's going to be affected by crafting and base building. Let me see if I can find that. They don't mention much about the scattering. I am so interested though in knowing more about how the resource scattering is going to work, because you see right here, it kind of looks like there's a material in this rock. Could you imagine if instead of having, we talk about this a ton on the stream, instead of having rocks specifically laid out in the world that you're supposed to go and mine, everything was mineable, and it was just like most of the stuff was just useless? Well, useless to you, maybe. You know, anybody could use some sand for something. Most of the time, that's only possible in games that use voxels, and CIG is not using voxels for Star Citizen, so not as likely. But I do think that would be a really cool addition to this game. Let me see if we can find where they actually talk about that, though.
How does crafting change existing gathering methods such as mining and salvage?
That is a bigger topic, because yeah, so the TLDR, or the short version, is the mining that we have right now will change more drastically again, and we will revisit like other gathering methods that we have. Like we have mining, we have salvage, and salvage will also get like a nice little treat, but let's start with mining. So on the mining side, we basically have to, because of the quality that we add to the minables that you will now find, we talked about that and we considered that, okay, with the mining system right now where we have multiple resources per rock, that doesn't make any sense, because you might want to look for quality instead of finding like a specific resource. So we want to make it easier for the player to actually look for the specific resources they need for the crafting processes. So we will basically split up or we break out the randomness in the minables that we currently have, but have bespoke minables. So we will find the copper rock, the iron rock, the
Titanium
rock. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you. I think yeah. So the titanium rock, and because what you're looking for is a better quality there, right? So you will still look for like the titanium rock that basically fits, like has the perfect quality, but you don't have to look for a rock that contains titanium anymore.
Interesting.
And here we also want to emphasize, or we want to utilize the new planet tag that was also talked about at CitizenCon, where we want to make use of the biomes that we get through those, and then have like more meaningfully placed minerals on the planet. So you will find certain materials more likely at a riverside or in a certain biome versus in other biomes. So we are really looking forward to get more control over that. So yeah, we are internally quite excited about that. And
see, so it doesn't, he like, it's good news. It's certainly a nice change to how mining is going to work, but it doesn't go much into how the scattering is going to work. And they've talked about that a little bit in the past. And then they show us shots like this, and I'm like, this is probably an art asset, but I really, really just want it to be a mineable. I would love, love, love if we had minables that just looked more like the environment at least, and were more integrated.
Rock sets related to a particular geology that look like they originated from the same source. And this ties into how we'll be distributing minables.
Because here, okay, see, he mentions it here actually. I forgot that he talks about it here, and he mentions that they have a lot of changes coming to minables in the next few patches, which does align with what they just said about crafting.
Distributing minables in much more interesting ways too.
But that's it. Just that they're distributing minables differently. Nothing else. Just showing us that somebody's mining a mineable that looks like the non-minables around it, but nothing else.
Much more interesting ways.
Who knows what that means?
So now that our base terrain and rock scattering looks good, let's add some vegetations and explore some additional biomes.
Sorry, these are the things that keep me up at night. I'm just dragging you guys into the rabbit hole.
Nyx 1's forests and grasslands are full of trees, various grass species, rock formations, and they're found in all sorts of elevations like mountain valleys, open plains, and dense meadows. And when we start to add a bit of fresh water, they begin transitioning into more wetland type biomes.
Ew. Into gross world. It's grossness
While
time.
forests are super cool, let's focus on the grasslands and wetlands today. So, how are we making these look so great? Obviously,
Cows.
we've had grass before, but never meadows of it. Because until now, we haven't been able to spawn grass in large enough quantities or effectively represented at distance. So we're stepping up our game in terms of spawning, shaping, and shading grass. With Genesis, we now leverage GPU.
Honestly, it's kind of crazy. I didn't realize that they didn't have meadows, but we really didn't have great expanses of just flat terrain like that. There's just f***ing rocks everywhere. It's gonna be nice to have normal spaces in these planets. I guess especially this stuff is important for the base building.
Distance. So we're stepping up our game in terms of spawning, shaping, and shading grass. With Genesis, we now leverage GPU spawning to create vast quantities of assets across all biomes, whether it be dense meadows or more complex collections of ground cover like you can see in these wetlands. We are also able to fit our grass tiles to the ground by conforming them to the unique terrain underneath. Now we can finally cover complex terrain shapes with grass and ground cover assets, and as a result they are now gravity aligned, meaning each blade is oriented as you'd expect and not sticking out like before.
This is the best part of the whole thing, in my opinion, the way that he drives up
let's
this.
take a look at how
like,
we light
dude, compare this. That's insane. Look at the physics of this thing. The way it drives up and over.
Next,
Whoop.
let's take a look at how we
And then
light
back
our
down,
grass.
whoop, back down the
Now,
other side.
As in real life, the
And then just
shading
keeps
of
going.
grass blade or
Isn't that wild? Isn't that crazy? Now let's look at what we have happen at the Daymar Rally over the weekend. This is not put on by CIG. I don't think they're gonna go. It's one of the only times they didn't go off a jump. Oh, oh, kind of stuck the landing. You made it work. I can't wait until the ground physics on these vehicles is not just so absolutely awful.
Truly, it's one of a.
Pushing their luck. There's so many shots where people would just like go off a tiny little jump.
Making a conscious decision here.
Can you please shut up? Somebody would go off a jump and then hit the ground at the slightest angle and do like a 540. But of course, there's no point in looking through all that. The MTCs had this really weird problem where their wheels wouldn't. Their wheels had the the freaking sandworms. This was a new addition this year. The sandworms were showing up on the course. So you had to dodge them while you were flying. Look at these guys. There's a whole freaking swarm of them out here, just randomly. What are you doing? Go home. There we go. There's a real show of the physics. That's it. That's what it looks like right there. None of this nonsense just driving up the side of a hill.
Next, let's take a look at how we light our grass. Now,
beautiful.
As in real life, the shading of a grass blade, or indeed a whole field of grass, is lit very differently to...
Wanted to mention the tomatoes times 10 pound 42 video is fire. More, please. Thank you for coming. It's always a good time talking with Dave. Is that a 10 pound emote?
Far more like a carpet or cloth than a flat surface.
Oh, it's 10 pound.
This improves how our grass looks.
Wait, was it always pound like currency? That makes a ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense. Wow.
From a near perspective, as well as bringing us nicely into how we're solving the distant representation of grass. So, let's talk about the distance problem. One of our biggest achievements with Genesis is allowing
it isn't
us to
a one
build
gravity
beautiful
movie.
biomes out of flora
That's
and
true.
geology assets like a building set. Like, can I say Lego?
No.
Too late. But in the past, this broke down very quickly when objects simply disappeared when viewing the same biome from 10, 20, 100 kilometers away. Because we don't hide planetary transitions and allow you to view complex regions from very large distances, there are almost infinite perspectives from which you can see a location in Star Citizen. So, how can we afford to evaluate complex spawning logic at runtime for the entire swathes of the planet?
Swathes.
Enter the virtual terrain.
Swathes.
Virtual terrain, or VT for short, is how we now cache and represent our terrain at varying scales. This has been the enabler for all of the lovely advances in...
Poppin looks so bad in Star Citizen at the moment. I'm very hopeful that they get that. That's because we just merged the new branch of rendering tech.
Terrain complexity and asset spawning we've shown so far. And it's also how we now evaluate and represent vegetation from a distance. When creating the VT for each part of the terrain, we assess if vegetation has covered the ground, and if so, what shading should be applied. For all of our biomes, we're now able to use the same shading model for the distant representation as the close-up asset, whether that's our lovely rolling hills, some more dramatic rockscapes, those muggy wetlands, or even our festering swamps. So yeah, we didn't forget about the swamps, and they're coming to Nix 1 as well. Built using the lessons learned and all the technologies we've developed, these swamps now spring into existence from the planetary data. This biome combines all of the elements from the other biomes we've shown you today, from water interaction, denser spawning, unique ground coverage, and I think it creates something really unique.
Fester, bitch. Yeah, I didn't ask 10 Pound about his predictions. That's actually a sad realization. I'll have to ask him about that. I'll fill it in and we'll touch on it in the next podcast episode. He comes on usually every month and a half or so, so it shouldn't be too long. It's like that because the real world physics for ground physics and what we have as a placeholder based on hovercraft and the tires and shocks glitch out because it hasn't been touched. I mean, I get that. I'm going to push back a little bit on that though. It has been touched. They have definitely tried to make the wheeled physics better. They've improved incrementally, I think, but yeah, not as much as I think they wanted to. These videos need date and time stamps, title stamps. Well, I mean, it does say it's CitizenCon October 11th.
Anyway, that's our update on the Planet Tech portion of Genesis and how we're using it right now to sculpt the identity of Nix 1. And I hope you're as excited as we are to explore this and everything we haven't shared yet next year.
Nope. We're excited for crafting.
We have things that you create in the world, you perfect, you research, you improve, And those items, those ships, those vehicles, the armor and weapons, that's how you progress in Star Citizen. Crafting isn't just a progression mechanic for creating new items. It's also a fundamental change to how we handle resources in the game. The materials that you collect, how you refine them, quality matters.
Crafting the weapons, you'll be able to have some quality materials to influence the item stats on those weapons.
It'll be somewhat random, potentially weighted on the location of the material. Some will have a higher chance of higher quality. And once you take those materials to your crafting bench, the fabricator, you can use them to craft. And
I wonder if they're going to give us the information at all of how the resources are spreading out. I think the game has some basic info already. If you go into the journal in Star Citizen right now in 4.6, it does have, man, this is an art piece. Kind of want to save it. It does have a list in the, one of you guys introduced me to it. It shows you kind of what materials are expected in what areas. But I wonder if they'll give us something, anything back end, more information. You hope not. It's a fair hope to have. You think Genesis is arriving in March, Kemi? March would be an off month for them, though, right? No, they'd have an update in March. So you thinking 4.7 is Genesis? I'm thinking 4.7 is Rock Cracker as well. Seems like Rock Cracker is one of the earliest things that they were going to have ready for this game, compared to the other things they want to do, the Municipal Works and the what's it called? The Tactical Strike Groups. It's in the map as well? Oh, that's cool. The Argo one we saw? Oh, the Argo ship we saw was a salvager.
Attributes will be increased based on the quality of the materials you use. It's not just iron ore anymore, it's iron ore of the quality that you know will get you the stats for the item that you desire. And it's not just mining, it's essentially every resource we can get our hands on.
To support this, we also need major changes to
960 quality of a Copion horn. Jeez.
Essentially every resource we can get our hands on.
To support this, we also need major changes to inventory.
You like my lining?
All of these new resources that you're
the window's
collecting,
open.
You can see what you have, you can order it better, you can understand what you have in your inventory.
We won't have...
You can understand what...
Bro, they don't even... Just realized they're not showing any quality on this screen. I still don't know how they're going to handle this quality thing, man. It's crazy.
What you have in your inventory.
We won't have the new refining crafting system yet. We'll be using the existing ones. Those will pass the quality through into the refined materials, which you can then take to your crafting machine and start making your personal items. Once you have your blueprint and your quality materials that you've refined, then you can put them together on the item fabricator. This will be pretty much what we showed in last year's CitizenCon, with the UI letting you assign your quality resources to different aspects of the item. Once you're happy with what you see on the preview, you'll be able to click to craft, and it'll get queued up, and your result will be produced sometime later. You'll be able to get...
Will Haynes was promoted? Do you know what to? As long as we don't get more different things that don't stack. Watch them release the whole inventory system, and then there's no item stacking.
It's the new crafting machine from shops in most landing zones. You'll be able to bring it up on your freight elevator and use it in your personal hangar, or tractor beam it around and stick it on a ship if you want to use it from there.
There'll be a small amount of blueprints you get credited to your account just to test and mess around, but the vast majority of them will be earned through missions, and then you can use that blueprint to craft the item that it is that you've got the blueprint for. So it should be a good reason to go and test all the different various missions in the game.
The advantage of crafting your own items is that they'll be better than anything that you could buy from shops. You'll be able to increase and improve item stats that are relevant to your gameplay. Maybe a gun will shoot faster, maybe it'll do some more damage, or your armor will have greater resistances against environmental effects or incoming fire. You might be wondering, what about the upgrade and research? That will be coming in a subsequent release. We're happy with this initial scope for crafting.
It's going to be so valuable for us as devs to kind of get the metrics in, get the feedback in, because then we can make the changes that...
Those freaking lights in the background are so nice. Every once in a while I notice them, and I've looked at lights like that. It's the reason that I have this light here, is because I really like the bar light look to it. Obviously this is like a nice, or not nice, I think this is nice. It's like a $50, $60 Govee light set. But these lights, if they're anywhere near the ones that I think they are, that they have in the background there, some like really nice bar lights. I've seen some lights of that style go for like $700, $800, $1,000. That's pretty cool that Will got promoted. He's been doing a great job, going all the way from like originally starting with the River Tech to really just like taking on a lot of the Planet Tech work. It's been great to see him in all of the stuff that he's been helping throughout the game.
You know, they only become obvious, so to speak, when you have kind of mass amounts of data and mass amounts of users using it. So I'm very excited to get it out in the wild.
It's our intention to get crafting out on Tech Preview by the end of the year and get the testing we need so we can release it when it's ready.
I do think that they're going to try and push this quickly. Said it before, I'll say it again. The crafting stuff is important because it is not just about testing the entirety of the process of crafting. It's about testing where the heck we find crafting materials, how we transport them, and things like the inventory. I think they need to get crafting into the PTU at the very least, because they need to get people running through this process over and over. You can't just throw 2,000 people into the game with no materials and tell them to test crafting. They have to go out, get those materials, run back and, you know, run the process. 6 hours of that is not much feedback for them. I think just like engineering, they want to get this into a place where they know it's going to work, and then they're just going to throw everyone else at it. And they're adding more people to Evo because they want that process to go faster. I'm not going to say this is coming in 4.7 in March, but I think there's a possibility we could see crafting in 4.7 in March. Don't quote me. Instead, we're going to quote myself. That reminds you that 4.5 dropped right when your org was getting ready to do Stormbreaker, so everything broke and you lost all your stuff. That sucks. What were you guys doing to prep for Stormbreaker? It's like a long-term thing. Jesus Christ. Don't throw fragile things at me. Red Thobor, thank you for the sub today, dude. I missed you earlier with the Prime. I appreciate your support, dude. Senior Engineer. Captain Planet. CIG sure likes their luxury bot with our pledges. I think CIG likes to retain their employees, and employees like nice stuff. Crafting is the grind, the blueprints, and the rare items. I feel like the exploration is where most of the grind is. How do you become an Evo member? It's invite only, yes. Just from like playing a lot, generally. It was a present. Well, thank you for that. What's the average age of the SC backer? I would probably guess around late 30s. Maybe mid 30s, 35, 36-ish. It skews a little bit later. I think the mean is higher than the median. Or no, I'm sorry. I think the mean is lower than the median. While I do think that we have a very older population than most games, I still think that most of the population lies in the lower numbers, like in the 20s and 30s. But generally, my own audience is the majority of my audience is in their upper 20s to like 40 years old. Interestingly, I see more people that are 70 plus than I do who are like, say, 18 or younger. Yeah, 30, you're on the younger side for this game. Evo members means you pay them to do work for them? Not necessarily. I know people who have Evo 1 giveaways. Most of us, yeah, have paid in. Stop giving money. Just do the work. A lot of us got families, so the dream of playing together faded a fair bit. No. No, Mikey. No, that is not the f***ing way. Okay, you have a family. That means you have squad mates. You have pilots, you have turret gunners. You put those family to work. Don't let me hear otherwise. Don't let your dreams be dreams, buddy. You're a space explorer. Feel like GII is way older than that in general? GII is a little more... I don't want to say it's a more mature side of the community, but I think GII is also going to skew a little bit older than the community in general. $40 on average. Yeah, kids mean more turret gunners, guys. Come on. 46 active, 15 most days. Everyone except my man PKP. Young PKP in the chat. Oh, I don't need to make a poll. There's we got plenty of information for that. I think I've shown it here before. I could show you guys my analyticals. Let's see, here we go. And this has changed ever so slightly throughout the years. But for the most part, I think it's the same across most content creators covering Star Citizen. You got like 60% of the community is in between 25 and 44 years old, but it definitely, most games I think would have a much higher percentage in that 18 to 24%. A lot of ours actually lies in the upper 20s, early 30s like there. But this is why I would put the average age probably around like 35. Just splitting these two. But as you can see, 13 to 17 years old, 0.6, 65 plus, 1.6. So there are less people interested in this game at like your middle school, high school level than there are at your no school, at a like all done with everything level. No, this is YouTube. This is my YouTube viewership. Who needs AI blades when you have children? CIG never was trying to get us into a point where we could have NPC crew and AI blades. They were just trying to make it easier for all of us to have kids. They just wanted to solve the child crisis. Yeah, and it's almost all male. To be actually the percentage of female viewers has grown. Mrs. Tomato the other day was like celebrating 0.8% on the podcast, I think. It's taken no, actually, I think it was like 3%. It used to be really low. It used to be like 0.2. Average age of global chat is 12. Yes, that's a whole different scale. You're gonna start a retirement home that is Star Citizen focused. I actually think that old people arcades are gonna start to be a big market as we get older and older. Well, like case in point, we were the first generation, or probably like the Gen X was like the first generation, I think, that played video games. Well, that played video games, right? Gen X is, you guys grew up with video games being a thing. That became a thing. I guess boomers a little bit, but the people who understand and respect video game culture from a first-person perspective, or from a first-party perspective, rather, are the same people who are just.
The whole Idris is still cheaper than the Idris.
Those are the same people who are just now starting to get old, and still want to play games, right? Before this, everybody would be like, "Oh, video games aren't for kids. That's not serious." But as we keep going, you're just going to get more and more services that cater to old people playing games. Old people watch movies, old people play games, old people do sports, old people do stuff. And there's a market there for it. So I think that we'll probably see like retirement home arcades and stuff as we get older. Virtual reality retirement homes. Holy dude, that's going to be a huge business. Oh my God. You just have to figure out how to make sure the headsets don't break their necks or like, I don't know, cause terrible seizures and stuff. Like there's a different health requirement you need to have when you're working with people in that situation, but that's going to be a crazy market. Your old point proven. Raising kids is never less expecting than anything. Brother. I kid you not, some people have raised their kids before Squadron 42 was made. They say it takes a village, but have they met Chris Roberts? We're gonna put their brains in a vat like Futurama. Well, Jesus, that escalated. Toes. If you saw that episode of Black Mirror, oh God. I probably did. It's all a mush. It's all a mush because it's starting to feel like the same stuff in real life. Isn't it crazy that there's legitimately people who are doing the whole put your dead deceased loved ones into a AI chatbot and live with them? Like that was Black Mirror like 6 years ago, man. I guess we were already basically there 6 years ago. But I didn't think it'd be a commercial product already. That's wild. They're making millennial old folk homes and they look cool. Millennial old folk homes. Aren't millennials maximum 44 years old right now? Yeah, dude. I have definitely heard about that kind of thing. People putting deceased ones in AI chatbots. That's probably gonna pull up something. New app lets users talk to AI avatars of deceased loved ones. Looked like the post was deleted. Who knows whether it's actually fully real? You know, I'm going off of headlines and things that I've seen. I haven't looked deep into this kind of stuff, but I could see it. I could see it 100% being a thing.
See? Oh.
I better not get some kind of copyright for this.
Kicking like crazy. He's listening. Put your hand on your tummy and hum.
Oh, no, nope. Dude, that's fucked. I'm not even gonna indulge in that. That's weird. Yikes. Yikes. Like, I would say make up a fake grandma at that point. Ooh, bringing your own folk back, though. I feel like at the very least, they got to agree to you. They got to agree to that. You know, hey, I'm putting this in my will. You can regurgitate me out into a smartphone. $30 and you feel like you're 70 with the back pain and knees. Not gonna lie, I think Star Citizen's giving me back pain. And this sun's getting very bright. Give me one sec. You can like see it's lighting me up. Stand by. And don't talk to the chair. Woo. Jeez. That's why I was so well lit today. You definitely understand the reason people would do that. You find it odd, but still understand. I understand it. I'm not into it. Not too dissimilar to not deactivating a loved one's phone so you can still hear their voicemail. But that's them. It's not a recreation. We don't have to get into that topic. That's, oh man, we're about to go down a huge philosophical rabbit hole. But I think the number one most obvious thing is that like we're definitely in a transition time. In the 2000s, we talked about that a lot. That like technology was changing and things were growing differently. And I think the smartphone was one of those moments when people felt like the future is really here and things are changing. But this what we're going through right now feels more like what I can only imagine the internet becoming more prolific felt like. It's like seeping into everything. Crazy. Sorry. There's a lot more going on in my head than Star Citizen. Sometimes it leaks. Don't talk to the chair, though, okay? I know I'm controversial, but the chair is a bully. Let's jump into... Oh, This Week in Star Citizen is out. Well, that works. There's a solid distraction, huh? What's going on in Star Citizen this week? We got some interesting stuff possibly coming up. 4.6 is definitely going live. I'm interested in seeing if there's any more news about crafting, preview channel, any testing possibly like that. Let's jump in. So, over the last week, we've had some interesting stuff happen. The Inside Star Citizen 4.6 went live. The monthly report for January happened. The Daymar Rally was up. That was fun. We talked about that, but I'll have a video coming out about that soon. And some other stuff. I think the biggest thing, though, is this last week has really shown just how much more active CIG is early in the year than they usually are. So I'm interested in seeing if it continues, if they keep picking it up. Now, this week coming up, we've got Alpha 4.6 going live on Wednesday. They rarely tell us what day the patch is going live on. So I guess they've given themselves a good amount of time to feel good about this one. We'll probably be able to check one last chance on Wednesday before it goes live to see how it is. Maybe not. Either way, we will be live on Wednesday testing it out to see what's going on. And we'll see how the release candidates are looking over the next couple days, but they don't usually say like that. They say, get ready for our new adventures and features with the Clearing the Air event, a wide range of improvements across ships, weapons, and professions, the light amplification system, VR updates, ground vehicle missile balance changes, haven't heard of that, plenty of bug fixes and more, plus a brand new Behind the Ships episode. Another Greek god. They're going to put out the Behind the Ships after the patch comes out. Looking forward to hearing more about this missile balance, and I wonder if they are going to get those new space stations in or not. I'm glad we're getting mining and salvage missions. I think that's the best part, in my opinion. Catch you later, Mr. Chip. Have a good one, dude. As usual, we'll also have full patch notes, a catch-all thread, and an FAQ to keep you in the loop on everything included. The roadmap roundup will also shortly follow after the build goes live with new cards for 4.6 and 4.7. Let's go, dude. Ooh, sorry, loud noises. That's exciting because 4.7 is actually 2 months out. And if they're adding cards for 4.6, this is probably going to tell us what's coming in February. In a 4.6.1 or something like that. Yeah. Okay, so it's another interesting week news-wise. 4.6 going live, 4.7 getting a couple extra details. That's fun. On Friday, they'll be doing their latest RSI weekly newsletter in the inbox. If you're not subscribed, you can enable it at any time through your account settings. Signups are going to begin for Anzia Racing Crux Cup TEC 2956 and the Crux Cup 24-hour with the new Koa A Kwakchong. I think that's Jean. 2956 race. I don't know if GII is competing in this. I gotta confer with our racing captain, Mr. Vaston, but this is where some of the more serious racing gets done. In the Anzia and SCR leagues, you get a lot of hardcore racers in competition, so if you're interested in that part of Star Citizen, it's not just all pew-pew. This is a big side of the game, and I would suggest checking it out. That being said, that is this week in Star Citizen. I think it's still looking good. I'm waiting to see what happens with 4.7. This is going to be a big and very telling news drop about the update. And it'll be nice to get like a good patch note catch-all thread FAQ about 4.6. I am going to do the terribleness and actually release my 4.6 video as this goes live, so I'll probably miss a couple of the details in the patch notes and stuff. But I'm aiming on getting you a explainer video about 4.6, why it is called 4.6 and not 4.5.1, and a little bit about what I think it means for the rest of this first quarter. Would run the cup, but with all the changes coming to the game, need to focus on events. Well, I mean, what about anybody else on the team? Maybe we could put out a call and see if anyone in GII wants to represent. You think they're going to put the Hermes in the PTU patch? It's just a cargo ship. I don't think they need to test it. They'll probably just throw it into the live game. A little surprise. Surprise, surprise. Are there races that aren't just holding W? Nope. Sorry, W is the, you and W are going to be very intimate friends if you want to race. Unless you want to race backwards. Could try just holding S all the time. As an avid abuser of AI as a helpful tool for your line of work, you still have to be creative. All AI does is help you realize the creative choices. I use AI almost all the time when I'm working. Not almost all the time, but I use it in my work. I definitely use it to crunch data. I have to get through a lot of data when I'm, doing videos about features, when I have to look up monthly report stuff, when I have to corroborate things that I've written in the past. It makes it very easy to look things up. It's basically just a more advanced Control F. That kind of stuff I think it's very useful for. Recreating my mother? No, thank you. Let me just make sure I saved this video. And Mrs. T, I'm putting a short into the short folder. I don't actually know what it's on there, but I recorded something earlier today. I guess I'll put it in there just in case it's useful. Tyrus! Is there a Tyrus in the chat? Is that what I just heard? Don't joke on me. Don't lie to me. Hey, Tyrus. What the hell? Tyrus was here. Good call, Frisch. That bubble in the future. Yeah, it's terrifying. The current research in the AI scope is about enhancing AI creativity, but human input can never be substituted. Man, what do you know? Humans not looking at the most efficient way to improve something. Your primary streaming arrangements just came online. You shall see later. Catch you later. Catch you later. Catch you later. Have a good one. Anything else here today? Roadmap roundup. Wow. 4.6. Wednesday's going to be a big day. We're going to have a lot to go over that day. And let's see if there's anything from the devs. I still need to do like a news drop coverage on the Star Wars, the Outlaw, God, what is it called? Expanse Osiris Reborn game. I actually might film that off stream and then do something more for you guys. They've got the MTV or the MPV. There's a guide here that's been thrown in. It looks like it's Quattro as opposed to Kraken is usually putting out guides for these events as well. But yeah, that's about it. I wanted to check out the dev tracker. Yeah, not Star Wars. They added Star Wars Outlaws to Game Pass, which I've been waiting for. It's actually what I was downloading yesterday. I was complaining about. So it's been kind of on my mind. I've been looking forward to playing that one. Are they giving away a ship? They're doing Max Lift giveaway. I think they're also doing the crafting machine. I'm having fun with Outlaws so far. It's not the best game, but it's certainly entertaining. Let's see. I can't really tell what it says. Looks like you're gonna get a jacket, a themed medical device, a tractor beam, a couple of ship guns, a couple ship skins. Yeah, that's mainly it. And then rumor has it that the crafting, the fabrication machine also is going to be an option. You always wanted to have a jacket? Man, I want reasons to have a jacket in this game. That's what I want. It's on the page? Oh yeah, it's like the last part right here. Item fab. Okay. So it's the Berseus skin plus the Paramet plus the item fab for the last one in personal list. Okay. Yeah. So I've got stuff to update on in terms of these, but it should be an interesting event. I haven't gotten to do as much of it as I'd want. It's freaking busy right now. But I do want to try it out. I'll probably try and get into it a little bit tomorrow just to test it out a little more. And then we're obviously going to be banging them away in live here on the stream. If you're in GII and you want to join us for them, I won't be throwing events for each time, but I'll probably just like hop into a voice channel and we can all do them together. So what are the devs focus of this year? I put out a video that goes into detail, but the short story is they are focused on releasing Squadron 42, testing features, and keeping people playing Star Citizen. As far as you recall, at some point CIG did promise private servers. In your opinion, this is frankly not going to happen as of now. Yeah, that was on the original Kickstarter page. $30,000, but like, remember, this event's over the next 2 months, guys. Do not kill yourselves in 1 week to do all of this stuff. We have until we're probably going to have until 4.7 to do this. I don't think they've confirmed it yet themselves, but I don't see why they would make this shorter than the actual patch itself. So, pace yourselves. Do not kill yourself. Don't try to do everything. Just have some fun, guys. Same as last year? Not exactly. Last year, they were not focused on testing features. Last year, they were focused primarily on keeping people in the game and working on Squadron. This year, they are definitely more focused on actually getting features tested, and we've seen that already with engineering coming into the game. Crafting has already hit the preview channel as of last week. And I'm gonna go ahead and guess that inventory is not far behind. How confident are we the event is going to be working the full 2 months? About as confident that any patch is going to be working a full 2 months. I would say let's see how it launches. If it launches fine, I don't see why they wouldn't work for the whole 2 months. Fun. I mean, try to have some fun. If you don't find it fun, I wouldn't do it. Look, I have an addictive personality, okay, but I also, ew. I also hate a challenge. That's not true either. I love a challenge. I hate a challenge that I throw myself against when I feel like I can go do other things. Is it a new ship or a dolly? Max lift AA transport. No, that's going to be the tractor beam. I don't know what he means by AA, to be honest. AA, is that a faction? AA. Maybe it might be a faction. Alliance Aid. Okay, yeah. It's a faction, so it's just a specific skin. It's the same joke you've used every time they release patch notes and explain their focus for the coming year. Oh. You're a dad, Suya. Hey, congrats on being a dad. Do I think they'll release Squadron to some sort of NDA'd crew? Evocati crew? I don't, actually. I think that Squadron is going to stay under wraps until release. I'm thinking they will probably get a small group of very influential people to fly out to Manchester and play the game so that they can make videos about it and like hype up the game. I think they might do that. It's not a guarantee. And I'm gonna bet that most of the people that they invite out would not be the people that you might expect from like the Star Citizen community. I highly doubt that I'll be invited. I doubt that most of the other Star Citizen creators would. They might ask for somebody like Ollie to come out, but I think they'd probably be aiming for other people who are a little bit bigger outside of the community because they're trying to get people, obviously, outside of the community to pay attention. Co-Carnage would probably be somebody good for them to get to come out. Jack Frags. To be quite honest, I do think that Skill Up would be a solid choice. I think they've got a better shot at doing that than doing. I mean, I know Evocati is for testing, but I don't think they're going to do. I think it's all internal testing, and then anything else that they want people outside the company to play is going to be marketing. Youngin just got her driver's license. Oh my gosh. That's a little terrifying. Well, congratulations on that as well. That means, of course, that you've also introduced her to her first ship, and you have a new pilot in your crew. They could use the already shown content for showcasing gameplay. I would love if they let us play the vertical slice from 2017. That'd be crazy. You imagine if we got to play that, like how different that would look now? That would be the best way to show how much this game has improved. Because this was an entirely different looking game.
Hey, finish the work on your scanner. It should help you track down that missing ship. Fly safe.
I mean, like, think about it this way. I was watching the thing for High Guard, which is like this very oh, didn't the embargo ended today, huh? So we're probably going to be seeing actual news about this game coming out today finally. But there's all this drama around this game because it made a huge splash at the Game Awards. Everyone's like, what the heck? It looks like a copy of Overwatch, even down to the name. And then it disappears to the point where people made videos about it just straight missing in terms of its marketing. And shows up out of nowhere, doing this content creator invite, building some hype, absolutely no traditional marketing, releasing suddenly a showcase today, and stopping the embargo so that people can stream it. This is like you don't have to market things the exact same way. You don't have to release games the same way. The fact that they're doing a short lead up to the release of Squadron 42 isn't a bad thing on its own, but it's risky. So this company did the same thing. They invited certain people out to play the game without anyone knowing, and then those people are able to release a video today when the embargo drops. And I mean, you have to be big. I was watching Luke Stevens, who was covering this game yesterday, and he was like, I didn't get invited to this. Dude's got a big channel. Just because you've got a few 100,000 subscribers on YouTube does not mean you're going to get involved in something like this. So I think that they're probably going to pick up some really big names to try and do the showcases. It worked well for them in 2022. Raised her wrong because she ain't even in the games. Give it time. You never know. Reviews are very negative. Really? Oh no. Reviews only started today. How are they already negative? Yeah, Squadron 42 is single player. Does he play SC? Oh. You think High Guard was supposed to shadow drop on that announcement trailer, but they had to delay it for whatever reason? You think they were going to drop it that day? That's an interesting theory. Damn. I didn't even think about that possibility. It's another hero shooter in a market that doesn't want hero shooters. This is true, yeah. In that case, I mean, I guess you don't give up the last slot in the Game Awards, though, even if you have to delay. Dude, that'd be crazy. That would be quite the story if they ended up just having to delay from that and it all threw a wrench in their plans. Oh, the Behind the Ships is coming on Wednesday. Did I read that wrong? Yeah, it is coming on Wednesday. You're right. I thought it was going to be Thursday. Same people who made Apex Legends. Yeah, that's true. That also shadow dropped. Dang, that sucks then. If that is the case, if that is ever confirmed, that'll be really sad. Game development's hard, man. It'd be tough, but we've seen CIG make delays like that all the time. Do you think they're going to delay the patch drop, Vastin? PKP wanted me to get shot? Bro. Actually, the Mrs. Tomato might have gone on an errand real quick. I might be safe. .9 will not be the last of alpha. No. Yeah, definitely not. It's going to be a little while. I do wonder if that means that they do switch to a 5.0 because we got a lot of updates to go. What theory are we talking about? What happened with High Guard when it got delayed or when it got announced? Whether it was delayed or what? If the ship video is Wednesday, then the patch will drop on Thursday. No, they said they're going to drop it on Wednesday. They literally said on Wednesday, the patch will make its grand entrance on the live servers. Ay! Ow! God damn it. PK***P. Dropping water on my keyboard. It's gonna break! It's broken now. Do the rewards for these events get unlocked in your hangar permanently? Yes.
You've been wearing the same jersey since Saturday?
No. I took it off. Will this game ever fully release? I can't answer that one for you. Seems to me you wouldn't switch the 4 series until SC is feature complete. Who knows, man? Who freaking knows what they're gonna do? I don't know what they're gonna do in terms of a beta for this game. I don't know if they'll even announce it, man. Might just be like, it's kind of fun. No, they'll want to call it a beta at some point. It's gonna be a lot better than calling it an alpha. Alpha Chapter 2 though is a nice one. Alpha the sequel. The Alpha Boogaloo. You can answer that for you. This game will fully release when it means to, just like Gandalf the Grey being on time. Ah, Gandalf. Always. Kenzie, contact. Why? I must know why you do this. I have been shot enough today. Mrs. Tomato has done enough work. Shooting. SC may not be released, but it is less buggy and incomplete than some other released games. Can confirm I released my own game in my intro to computer science class and it runs way worse than Star Citizen. It also is super less complex. How many years will the beta be? I don't actually think their beta period is going to be like anything too... Well, there's a lot of balance in this game. In your WoW days, you went through 2 or 3 complete overhauls of the skill tree and only played the first 2 expansions. It'll be interesting to see how much they can incentivize people to keep playing even after a supposed skill tree is realized to not exist in this game. Mrs. T, come shoot me so I can end this stream. Don't know if we discussed this prior to your arrival, but will we see a wipe with the 4.6 patch release? No, we shall not. They have not said anything about a wipe, and if they were to do it at this point, that'd be insane. That's 2 days away from now. Imagine they announced a wipe 2 days before it happened. Oof. Oof, oof. But yeah, the people who were freaking out about the possibility of a wipe and telling everyone it was going to happen, have not been paying attention. There's no way that they're gonna just randomly do a wipe in a patch like that when it's that close to us. And even the only source of any sort of anxiety around a wipe, which came from a dev saying that they would like to see a wipe, said that there wouldn't be one until we had fixes in game. And everybody knows there's no fixes in game. Next possible wipe is going to be in March. And that's not confirmed. I still would not play this game with the expectation that we will definitively wipe in March. This year open for nothing to the PU. All up in the air, you do hope they will work to make the PU a great experience for post-squadron players for a while. Some people take fun scaring others with wipe talk. Yeah. Fear is a very easy emotion to provoke, right? There are a lot of clear signs that there weren't going to be any progress wipes with 4.6, and it's easy enough to put those signs in front of people, but the fear will just get you. Either way, I'm not going to say listen to me all the time. Sometimes I am wrong, but like when things like this come up in the community, look towards people who have been covering this stuff or who have at least been involved in this stuff in a while. I'm not just saying content creators, people on Reddit, people on Discord, people who are in your org or in the game. A lot of people have joined this game recently, and this game and the way that it works has changed a lot recently. So it's been a little bit hard to understand just how CIG works, but like if you were here before 4.0, some of their habits are still their habits, and their communications still work the same way if you can find them. So rather than panicking, conversations first. What's wrong with staying silent? I'm pretty sure they said they were going to let us know. If I'm not mistaken. But also, I think that it would be pretty annoying as a new player to jump into the game in the first week and get all your stuff wiped. I think they kind of owe it to people to let them know. I think 4 weeks is a plenty time. I would say put it maybe 2-3 weeks notification. But I also think what they could do in a wipe is say that if you do a certain amount of something during that time period after they let us know before the wipe, you could get maybe an additional reward when the game starts back up. So it doesn't let people necessarily dupe items and make money, but they can track people's participation in something and then say, once we get to the new patch, you will get a lump sum based on what you did. So you can start out. That might be nice. And then you can opt out of it, maybe if you want to still, go from zero. You relish the idea of a wipe. I'm looking forward to it. I'm biased. I have access to a lot of ships and things, and I recognize that. And I hope that GII can at least be a method of helping people get their things that they want, but I do like a wipe. CIG would absolutely wipe even if dupes weren't fixed or found. Why would they do that? They make so much more money when they don't wipe. .6 coming out on Wednesday. Good to see you, by the way, Nestle. Didn't they do that in the 3.x releases? Yeah, I think there was one patch where they did something like that. Even just an hour's played, money amounts of credits for playing before a wipe after an announcement. You mean that CIG, if they wanted to do a wipe, would not wait to find all the dupes or fix them? Yeah, I guess. It seems like they do want to wait. Technically, they have the ability to do what they want, though. Are you the only one not filthy rich? What are you talking about, dude? Look at your friendships. You are rich, brother. All right, folks. I'm gonna wrap things out. I don't think Mrs. Tomato came and shot me yet. We have to get one more shot in, Mrs. Tomato, before I can wrap up today. Doom da doom doom. Dum da da dum dum. Hey, I see people playing High Guard. When is the monthly report? That's not gonna be for a little while. Alright, stand by. Hold on a second. I got you. I got you. Hold on. Alrighty. Okay. Because I'm ready to finish this stream and I think Mrs. Tomato is busy, I will handle this myself. Ah! Ow, 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 ow. Okay. I have been shot. Whoops, on the stream's behalf. We have solved that ourselves, and I will now be raiding to send you guys on to another lovely individual doing some Star Citizen goodness. They fucked my tomatoes up. Yeah, they did. Y'all have a wonderful time. I'm gonna send you over to who have we not rated in a while? Avenger Loken, Tom Hitbo Power. He's in Arc Raiders. Citizen. Toes. 0 is high. I'm gonna send you over to Expat. Y'all have a lovely day. Enjoy yourselves. I will see you on Wednesday. We're gonna be testing the new game. We're going out live. I'll have a new video for you. Oh, you accepted it. Wonderful. All right, cool. It was a proper shooting. Y'all have a wonderful day. Treat yourselves well. Eat something you love. Do something you love. I'll see you on Discord. Bye-bye, y'all.